Good snowy Sunday morning here in the Delaware Valley, guys. Welcome into Philly AM Sports with Al, and it's not Mike today. Mike gets to miss out today, and I bring in the only guy who can make it colder than it is outside, inside. Matty B, what's going on, Matty?
Man, this is what 9 a.m. looks like.
This is what 9 a.m. looks like. Yes, you're talking to a guy that's usually waking out of his coffin right now. And for those who are trying to watch us on Facebook, we will have that up and going in a moment. It's just being very finicky right now, Facebook has gets their snow days too, in some ways. But no Mike, which stinks. That's great. It's okay. Mike's one of those, if you don't know, he's one of those PennDOT guys out there trying to clean up this mess on the street. So he's doing a yeoman's job right now. But that does not mean Matty B was going to let you have another Al solo show within 48 hours.
Yeah.
He was not going to let that happen.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Afraid of the propaganda that's going to start spewing out of my mouth. His brain almost exploded when he thought that was going to happen. So he goes, Al, I'm going to see what 9 a.m. feels like. And also, we're going to bring on some guests. Isn't that so, man? What is the hard work you've been doing behind the scenes? Give the people a taste of what they're going to see today.
Yeah, a little bit later, about 9:20-ish, Jack Fritz, Phillies insider for 94 WIP, is going to jump on. We're going to talk about 20 minutes worth of Philly stuff, or maybe some Eagle stuff. He's multi-talented as well. So we'll get Jack's take on how the Phillies offseason's been going and maybe talk about why we can't find an offensive coordinator. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure we'll talk about that topic anyway. But
absolutely.
Yeah,
you and me? Absolutely.
Yeah. But so Jack Fritz at 9:20. Then at 9:50-ish, one of our Pittsburgh guys, just like the guy from Goodfellas saying our Pittsburgh connection, one of our Pittsburgh guys, John Phillips.
Right. A guy from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's going to jump on and discuss the hiring of being that we are kind of affiliated with some of the Western side of stuff. And we're going to get his take on Mike McCarthy.
But also it has, I would say that conversation has a little something to do with us in some ways, because there's a big difference between Philly and Pittsburgh from football organizations. When Pittsburgh hires somebody, at least from a head coaching standpoint, they hire them and it's almost guaranteed 5 years. You know what I mean? I guess outside of a complete implosion, because Pittsburgh's always been at bare minimum an 8-8 team, or I guess 9-8 team, however you want to look at it. Even on their worst years, Mike Tomlin somehow would always have just enough to be a winning coach for the year. But Pittsburgh's had as many head coaches in their entire existence as Cleveland has had in a decade.
Tomlin was the third head coach in my lifetime that Pittsburgh's had.
Mm-hmm.
3 in 52 plus years. That's insane.
Yeah. But Matty, let me ask you a question. From your standpoint, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Well, 6 Super Bowl championships is somewhat of a good thing, right? And wouldn't you call the 6 that they've won? Now, granted, it's been far in between lately.
Yeah, I mean, the last one was 2010, I think, when they won their last one. It
was 9 against the Cardinals.
2009. And then before that, it was a while before that, because a lot of those first 5 came fairly close together. But, I mean, I guess there is a plus minus to having some guys knowing that their job isn't going to always be on the line. But at the same time is, me and you would probably both say Mike Tomlin, a good coach, correct?
Yeah.
So, and even he got, they finally figured, it's time to move on from him, and for whatever reason it would be. And I'm sure we'll find out about that later in the show. But, do you prefer your organization to be more open to change or more steadfast?
Well, so here's the narrative about the Steelers Super Bowls. They won in 2009 against Arizona, but then they also won in 2006 against Seattle. So they did have 2 relatively close Super Bowl championships. And then it's been pretty much death since then. Mm-hmm. Well, we talk about Nick Sirianni like he's the second coming around these parts, and he's been to 3 Super Bowls in the last 7 or 8 years. So I can understand, where the allegiance to Mike Tomlin, at least from the fan base side of things, is over the past 18, 19 years. I don't got to look any further than this moron we got here. I mean, the team has gotten the 3 Super Bowls, and we talk about him like he's Vince Lombardi's great-great-grandchild, So I'm not I'm not. You're not
Maybe
going to pull me into this little trap of yours about talking about how the coaching gets stagnant around here.
Listen, it's not a trap. I wanted Matty B's official opinion on how he would feel about having a guy who's more locked in versus a guy that might be fearing for his job a little bit. Don't tell me that you haven't seen that from Nick Sirianni a couple of times, because from all intents and purposes, it felt like the rumors swirling around, depending on who's who, knows that he was at times on the hot seat.
But at times, he should be sitting firmly on the hot seat. Look, again, a Super Bowl cures all, and I will give you that. A Super Bowl championship cures all. Absolutely. It's the ultimate, that's what you're in this business for in the first place, is to win championships. And I'm not going to sit here. So in a lot of ways, I knew last year, even though it had absolutely nothing to do with Nick Sirianni's coaching ability, nor did it have anything to do with Jalen Hurts' quarterbacking ability, I knew that Super Bowl championship was going to prolong this darkest period of Eagle history that much longer, because they did win the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
Dumb luck and get gifted into winning a champion. You're going to sit here and tell me Nick Sirianni had anything to do with them winning a Super Bowl last year?
Hold on. Before we get in that, the darkest period in Eagles history.
Yeah, they're being controlled by a tyrannical part of the football world it's choking the lifeblood out of this city, choking the lifeblood out of my football team, and they must be destroyed. And them winning championships prolongs this thing 1 year longer than it needs to.
But if this is the darkest period, sign me up for some more darkness, because we've sat and watched, and like you said, you're older than me, but we've all sat and watched some dark periods in Eagles football, right? I mean, the 90s. Do I have to remind you the 90s at all? We were happy just
live through it.
Cowboys, you know what I mean?
No, I don't. No,
in the 80s, for the most part, they had some almost success in the 80s, but other than that, it was also not too fun. This isn't the darkest period, and listen, it might not be the way some people draw it up or want it, but what is there else to have except Super Bowl victories?
Okay, let's stop there. Okay. What was on the Eagles? What were they holding in their hands this year? What potential opportunities did they have in their hands?
There's only one.
What did they have in 2025 right in front of them? What could they have done for this fan base who deserves it so much?
What do you mean? Say it again.
This season, they had an opportunity to do something. What was that?
To repeat.
To repeat and usher in the Eagles dynasty. And they failed to do that.
Sure.
So you want to talk about, great times in the fan base and in team history and whatnot. The Eagles had an opportunity this year to usher in that era, and they failed to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, but going 3-13 is one thing. I get that, but they had an opportunity to finally deliver what this fan base so deservingly deserves, and they failed. Instead of spending time about the core reasons of why they failed, we send up a offensive coordinator to be sacrificed in order to sort of make us feel better so we can go to sleep at night, not realizing that the core problems of this football team remain, and that is your quarterback and your head coach.
Again, if Jalen Hurts is my problem, I'll get over that problem fairly quickly. But I don't know if you've watched. I know you did watch part of the Friday show, so I don't know if you heard the part where I talked about is the biggest problem is with Nick Sirianni is you can't bring a guy in who's never play called. Like, I know a lot of people want that one guy from the college ranks. I've got his name. I think he's going to LSU. Who is supposed to be like this big offensive guru, but has never called a play in football, as far as I know, in college or in NFL at least. You can't bring somebody in, because here's the thing: is if the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, now Mike McCarthy, the hiring makes no sense to me, but we'll keep going. We'll talk about that when the Pittsburgh guys come on. But at least Mike McCarthy has called plenty of plays, right? You could be a play caller. So if you're learning new and you have never done it before, you might have watched enough, so is it time to call? But if you're not there to, how do I put this? Back the man up, Nick Sirianni can't do that. He doesn't. They don't have that ability to hire within or hire somebody who's never done it before, who might have the chance to do so, because Nick Sirianni can't do it himself. You need somebody who can then back him up. Help him learn, keep him from making any major mistakes, anything along those lines. Those are the people. That's the big problem with Nick Sirianni, and I'm not going to deny that there is some major flaws in his game.
What are the good things about his game?
What are the good things about his game?
Yeah, what does he bring here to be what does he do? Because honestly, and again, I'm not inside the building. I'm not going to pretend to know what happens inside the locker room. But as far as what I see on the sidelines, I could do what he's doing. So what does he bring to this that's so irreplaceable?
So I don't know if I'm not saying he doesn't do anything from the offensive standpoint, where he doesn't do X's and O's, and he doesn't know how he and Kevin Patullo was, and that's unfortunately, I'll agree with you from the sacrificial lamb type situation. It was just Kevin wasn't going to work out with Nick Sirianni at the helm, and as you just said, they just won the Super Bowl. They weren't going to fire him off of a Super Bowl win, especially making the playoffs again and having a half decent year. Could have been a whole lot better. Don't get me wrong. They had to make a decision, and that's why Kevin Patullo went. I mean, he was the easy out in this situation. They needed, and they said, well, listen, we had success with two guys who did know how to do it, and they went on to be coaches, and we went on to go to Super Bowls. But what does he do? I think he does. He's not an X's and O's guy, but he does more of the management end of things. I'm sure.
What does that mean?
Like planning the week of, all that kind of stuff. I don't think he does as much X's and O's as he would. He'd probably like to do more, but I think they try to limit that because of his not greatness of doing it. He actually has to manage a bunch of players and millionaires who play football, who are young and cocky and all that stuff. That's the hardest part of any coaching job, is managing the team. And let's be honest, for the most part, this team in his tenure has bought into his whatever it is, like it or not. If you don't like the flower scenario or whatever other, silly press conference thing he brings up, like it or not, the team, who we have to worry about, not us, not the fans, nobody, the media, anybody has to buy into it. They have to buy into it.
Okay, so they've gone rogue. They've gone rogue, admittedly, at least twice. They decided not to listen to the play coming off the sideline at least twice. No one was seemingly held accountable for that. There's leaks coming in and out of that locker room consistently from players, from team personnel, coaching staff. I don't know where the leaks are coming from, but there are leaks coming out of that locker room like hell. Where's the buy-in on all that? All right, where's the buy-in on that? Listen, Al, you're going to paint a picture for Nick Sirianni. I understand that's what you're paid here to do. I don't know, you've got your hand in the Eagles' pockets. I don't know what's going on there, but that's fine. And I understand that. And you can come at it.
Success.
Glass half full, glass half empty situation. Here's the thing. If you're going to sit here and tell me that Nick Sirianni is irreplaceable as your head coach, then you really need to go see a deprogrammer. If you're also going to sit here and tell me that Nick Sirianni does something that's otherworldly with this football team, again, I have a deprogrammer's phone number that you can call. You're never going to. That it's ridiculous. Nick Sirianni is a cheerleader, as you have said. He's a loose cannon. That last play of the season, that little timeout that led into that 4th and 11, throw it in the triple coverage play, told me everything I needed to know about Nick Sirianni. He had no idea what he wanted to do on the sidelines. There was that look in his eyes, like, yeah, go ahead and do it. That's not the look of a Super Bowl winning head coach. That's the look of some Joe Schmo rando out there on the sidelines pretending to be a head coach. So again, I get what you're saying, but you're never. The evidence, again, this is where homers and real fans differ. The evidence that I see in front of my eyes is what I'm going to sort of kind of extrapolate from.
Well, here again, the words irreplaceable have never come out of my mouth. They haven't. And anyone as a coach, I don't care what level you coach at, nobody's irreplaceable, even coaches, right? There's always guys who are much more important and harder to replace, but not irreplaceable. Never use those words. Nick Sirianni it can be replaced, obviously. I think he can be. And can he be upgraded from? Sure, but you can't deny the results, can we? Can we deny the results? 5 years, 5 seasons, 2 Super Bowls, 1 win, playoffs every year. You can't deny the facts. Again, I kind of contribute to like a knuckleball pitcher, and a successful knuckleball pitcher. It doesn't look pretty. It's very awkward, but it's effective. And then that's how he is. And it's so typical Philly, right? That we have success with a coach and a quarterback, and because it isn't the most typical, it isn't the quarterback who gets 500 yards every game or 400 yards every game or 5 touchdowns is a typical pocket passer or anything like that. He's not your Josh Allen of sorts, but he's more successful than Josh Allen has been his entire career. He's more successful than any of these coaches, most of these coaches getting head coaching jobs currently right now, yet we still blast him. I mean, again, sometimes I'm not a mechanic, right? I don't know much about outside of the basic stuff about cars, like put gas in it makes it go forward, But I have to try, what?
That's about what I know as well, where the gas goes and how to turn the radio on.
So, but I don't know how the internal combustion engine truly works.
I know.
But it works. And that's how I look at this thing. It's effective. And we can't deny it. Like you say it yourself, I'm going to use Matty B's line right here. The whole reason we do this is to win championships, not to go to the playoffs, not to win a couple playoff games, not to win an NFC championship game, but Super Bowl championships. And he's done it.
Has he done it or have the Eagles done it? Has he done it or has the Eagles done it?
Well, my question is if you can't pick and choose who's part of the success and not totally. You can't.
God. This is why you don't do shows by yourself. All right. This is why I had to be on here today. Okay. All right. Good God. Right, listen, you use the knuckleball analogy. I get it. But unless you're Phil or Joe Negro throwing knuckleballs for 17 years and then keeping them down, eventually those knuckleballs are going to start rising up in the strike zone as they get older and older, and people are going to figure them out and start launching home runs.
It's not going to be here forever.
And as far as the car analogy goes, I agree. I don't know how the engine runs either, but I do know that once I hear something that doesn't sound right, only turning up the radio will only last for so long to ignore the sound before the muffler falls off. I get what you're saying, but there's a shelf life to all of that. Nick Sirianni has captured. And I can't believe I'm about to say this. Howie Roseman, really, if you want to blame, or if you want to look at someone as the architect for all this, it's been Howie Roseman who's created these rosters and put them in this position to win Super Bowls. I can't believe I had to say that. But evidence is, I'm not going to deny what I see with my eyes.
Thank God I borrowed one of Matt's Depends because I think I just S'd myself when he said that.
I got to give him credit for that. I truly do. But also want to be very critical of him of blowing this opportunity of not giving them a better roster. But again, I get it. I understand. I'm not anti Jalen Hurts and I'm not anti Nick Sirianni. I'm just not ready to place.
You were.
No, I'm just not ready to call this. The Philadelphia Eagles are never going to be, in my eye, the Philadelphia Siriannis or the Philadelphia Hurtses. They're the Philadelphia Eagles. I get it. And I understand, it could be a lot worse. But yes, it could be better. It could be more stable. I just don't like the vibe that this team puts off. I truly don't. And I don't like the vibe Sirianni.
I'll deal with a bad vibe way over dealing with outside of the Chiefs. Who's been more successful in the last 5 to 10 years than the Eagles?
No, you're right. Absolutely. Again, I'm not going to deny that. Yeah.
Second most successful team outside of a team that was close to being a dynasty.
Okay, there you go. You just said it. You just said it. That's what we do. You're close. Why couldn't we have been the dynasty? You want to stick your chest out as Eagle fans and proclaim your dominance over the world? You should. If you captured that, we didn't do it. That's the bottom line. We didn't win Super Bowl 57, and we did not usher in the Eagles dynasty. That's the bottom line of all this. You're gonna tell. I get it from all sides. Oh, you're a hater. You're negative. I'm not negative. All right, I'm critical because yes, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s watching this team play. I know how bad it can be. All right, and I want to capture. What's that?
They can't hurt you anymore.
I want to capture as much of the glory as I possibly can because these opportunities don't come around every year. They don't. And stop thinking that they do. So they had an opportunity this year. to capture a dynasty.
Every year. I 100% agree with you, and I know that. But I also know that, like, listen, would I love a dynasty? Like, I just feel like it's not just you, Maddie. It's not just you, but with a lot of guys and a lot of people have your mentality, in the sense that, the that success is always, they want 1,000% of success. We all want 1,000% success. I get that, but we all know in sports there's no such thing, right? There just really isn't. But can you have more? Sure. Can you have a dynasty-ish like the Chiefs did? And look at even them, that it caught up with them. Like, luckily they got more Super Bowls in under their belt, and they had Patrick Mahomes at the helm and all that stuff, that and Andy Reid and all that has helped majorly. But you have to look at this team and know that it's still set up for another possible Super Bowl run for at least a couple more years, bare minimum. And here's the thing is, I think we live in the now just a little too much sometimes and not look at the 40,000-foot picture or view of the situation. Doug Peterson, how long was he here for?
16, 17, 18, that's 5 years.
5 years, right? And again, I know you hate giving Howie Roseman credit because it probably hurt you with every being of your soul, and the bones in your body were probably rattling as you were saying those words just a few moments ago. Give the organization credit because they did win 2 Super Bowls finally, and it came off of 2 guys that nobody knew much or anything about, who had really little to no head coaching experience. I think Doug Peterson made a head coach to his kid's high school team or something at one point. That's about as far as it went. But they do double down on what they do. Like, they hired Jim Schwartz before they hired Doug Peterson. They were, well, we're going to take a chance on this Doug Peterson guy, but we have a backup here just in case this thing completely falls apart. Within 2 years, boom, he's got a Super Bowl. But that only bought him, 3 more years?
Mm-hmm.
And dealing with the Carson Wentz situation, Nick Foles, back and forth, all that. Because when, just like Jim Harbaugh saw, even winning a Super Bowl a few years ago, didn't buy him that much, because they said, if you're not willing to bend and make the changes, you're going to have to leave because now you're the problem. Now, Nick Sirianni, is it good or bad? Probably bad in my eyes, but he's willing to play ball with them a little bit more. So, you got to fire your best buddy, Kevin Patullo, in this case, and move on from him.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he's a company man. I'll give him that. Absolutely. But what Doug Peterson didn't do is what he, when they wanted to put up or shut up with that, he said, "You want to fire my boy? I'm going with you. I'm going with them."
And how that works out.
Well, there's a lot to be said about that. It's called character.
No, there's a lot to be said about that. But here's my thing: is the big problem was Nick Sirianni needed a play caller with some gravitas, somebody who's done it before, somebody who has the knowledge and the ability to do it. That's if you know, for instance, a quarterback isn't really good at throwing over the middle. That's when you point out a lot about Jalen Hurts. A good offensive schemer will make sure that they can scheme to make that less of a problem, right? That's what you do. You find out your quarterback's strengths, you find out your quarterback's weaknesses, and you build towards those weaknesses, and you build towards those strengths and limit those weaknesses. Because I don't care who you are, you're going to find anybody like Josh Allen. Like, everybody loves Josh Allen, but the man throws picks, right? Why? Because he's a gunslinger, and that's one of the downfalls of being a gunslinger. He also puts himself in danger when he runs. I mean, he's a big man, don't get me wrong, but sooner or later that's going to catch up with him, and he's not getting any younger, and his wheels are going to become lessened, if you want to call it that, over time. So he's not going to have that to fall back on. Does that change Josh Allen's perspective? Because we saw a change in Jalen Hurts. Now, was that Jalen's decision? Was that the company's decision? Was that Nick Sirianni? Was that Kevin Patullo? Was that kind of like a whole, hey, we sat down in the offseason, we have to limit Jalen Hurts' wheels. We want to keep him fresh and healthy because we don't want to go into a playoff with him banged up or have another Nick Foles type situation. Look at Bo Nix and the Broncos going into today. You know what? People don't want the Broncos to win, like Philly fans. Have you heard the rhetoric on this one? Why they don't want? Yeah. So they don't want another backup quarterback to win a Super Bowl for a team because that's our thing. That's our shtick. Take that from us. That's our story. What's wrong with I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Like, we just invented this. Let's see.
I think they're right because I don't think Stidham's gonna. I think they're going to roll over him today.
Stidham has not thrown a meaningful NFL pass or a NFL pass in 2 years, might I add. He was behind Nix, and Nix was healthy the entire time for the most part. Hasn't needed a backup quarterback. Came at the most inopportune time. Can I just ask you a question, Maddie? Knowing this fan base, knowing this the way we are, because I said this earlier, and I got a lot of backlash on this. I made this comment on Friday night, and I kind of got hit up on Twitter a little bit about it. I said you can't be the most passionate fan base and the most even-keeled fan base, I guess, at the same time. So when people go, like when I hear about the OC job, and it's because somebody egged Petullo's house, or things along those lines, like I'm like, well, you can't expect to be it both ways. Like this fan base is amazing. Yeah, it can be amazing when you're high, but when it's low, we all know it gets pretty damn low.
Well, I agree. There's a badge of honor. There's a badge of distinction. There's a identification tag or something that you wear where you live in Philadelphia and you root for sports.
We have a t-shirt that says, "I ate horse shit" after we won a championship.
Yeah, that's a good point. And and then also the guy that runs into the pole down in the L station and all that. Listen, you're right, but I don't think that's a disclaimer that needs to, and I don't think that's talked about enough in the hiring processes or in the drafting process. I don't know if you could put a person through in order to sort of measure their ability to handle that type of stuff, but it should be a real test that they have to go through these days before anybody's hired or drafted or traded for or signed by any Philadelphia sports team. They should put them through some sort of simulation of how to deal with the Philadelphia sports fan. They really should in order to judge their mettle, because it's a real thing. And it's not, every city, a lot of cities have this similar, but we are our own entity of that, which makes us what we are. But it's turning into a caricature a little bit because people are misunderstanding it and taking it. And I have to say, overall, with that passion and that dedication to our sports teams, it's always come hand in hand with the most knowledgeable fan base. I think we're losing a little bit of that knowledgeable side, honestly. I really do.
I'm sorry. I think the word knowledgeable is used wrong in that sense. And again, I'm probably
how about informed? Is informed a better word? Aware is a good one. I like aware better, because here's my thing: is we might be like take the Big Dom situation. I know we've discussed this back and forth. Yes, we're the only ones who know about who our security guard is because he became a cultural icon in Philadelphia. Yeah. That doesn't happen really anywhere else, because that's the awareness we have. But knowledgeable and understanding of the X's and O's in the game and all that, that's few and far between. I don't care if you listen to any sports radio, you watch any podcasts, react to people on Twitter or comment sections. That goes right out the door. There's a difference between having a feel for the game and a lot of these knowledgeable people we talk about. And of course, none of the guys in our chat I'm talking about, of course, guys. This isn't you guys are good.
But knowing X's and O's or understanding or even having the idea of throwing or playing any meaningful football or any sports, most of these guys who get just completely irate about things, you can tell they've never played a lick of sports or played anything of any meaningfulness. Like maybe they were in a little league team that went 0-9 5 years in a row, and that was their big claim to fame. But there is a lot of, and that's usually the loudest voice. That's the problem. Usually the loudest voice is the last voice that should be heard. I always say, in these cases, like the one who's screaming the loudest is the guy who probably knows nothing, never played sports. He's the daddy coach who lives vicariously through his son to try to make him something that he was never, that kind of person. And
daddy coaches are ruining youth sports. They truly are.
Listen, if you guys
a real thing.
Maddie B and Al Zafiri getting on the same page about something, right there is daddy coaches. Like is the worst thing, because he's seen it from the ump side, and I've done 15 years of coaching youth sports, especially football. So
they are ruining youth sports.
Ruins. I literally had to have a meeting, and it wasn't with my team because I'm on a board of directors for a football organization. I literally had to have a meeting and discuss to people I had a guy come to in the middle of the meeting who some parents were upset with the coaching staff and they wanted to fire them. Like this, they think it's the NFL, like, or demote them to a little younger team or whatever. This is the ridiculousness. And the one guy goes, "I'm tired," because they were in like a 2-game losing streak. "I'm tired of having to console my son and buy him pizza after games because they lost." I said, "This is 9 and 10-year-olds, and you're worried about results-based football. You can't even get results. You can't get guaranteed results-based football in the NFL, and you want something done here." Nah. So, like, it's ridiculous. Ryan's checking here, guys. I'm gonna hit some of these comments real quick because we're waiting on a couple things here to go down. I know this weather is playing a factor in a lot of it for people. So if any of our lag comes in through, I mean, so far, I don't know, Maddie, you're up in what, New York, right?
I'm up in central New York right now, and we're getting.
How is the weather?
So we just started snowing about maybe an hour ago, and we're getting a trace right now. So we're getting like the I don't know how, I think the storm is kind of like going like a U up through the Delaware Valley, up through the Mohawk Valley where I'm at. And we're getting, I think, the tip of it right now. You guys are kind of getting into that center part of it. So we're going to be a little bit behind you on the storm, but the same effect. Our projected totals are around 20 inches. So.
So you're up there too. I wasn't sure how bad you guys were supposed to get. You're right, like 3 hours from here. Four
I'm 3 hours from. Well, no, I'm 1, 2. I'm about 4 hours from here.
Yeah, I was gonna say my friend of mine grew up in close to your area, so he goes up there a lot. But yeah, I mean, as you guys are knowing, I'm right here in Delco, right outside, like minutes away, 15 minutes away from the stadiums, and we have a nice few inches, and it's at that sideways snow. So hopefully, you guys are staying safe. Your internet connections are working because, unfortunately, this is the way you're going to be hanging out with people for the next 48 hours or so, unless they're in the house with you currently, because it's only going to get worse before it gets better. And some of you might get a snow day, or some of you might have to work harder, because I know I'm one of those people. In the medical field, it does not go away just because of snow. Let's see. Rob's sitting here saying we have 2.5 inches in Dover, Delaware. Yeah, you guys are supposed to get. I know Delaware's supposed to get it. I don't know if it was all of Delaware or parts of it, but yeah. Are you near Boston Spa, New York, Maddie?
No, I'm about an hour east.
Okay.
No, about an hour east of Syracuse.
Yeah, you're close to Cooperstown, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm about 45 minutes from Cooperstown.
Yeah. All right, so as we wait and we discuss, and me and you have not had a on the air conversation about the OC situation, and as you've known on Friday, I said I think it's ridiculous how everybody has so up in arms. They think like that, and again, you mentioned this, that how Philadelphia has become a caricature, right? Especially from the fan base. But what that caricature has created is an easy clicks, an easy way for major media. I'm not even just talking local media and things like that. I'm talking ESPN channels and FS1s and all that stuff to easily get clicks by starting a conversation saying the Eagles OC job is not desirable or anything along those lines. And Maddie, go ahead. I'm going to let you go ahead spew the nonsense. I'm sure I know is going to come out. So what is your take on the Eagles OC search currently?
Confusing.
Okay.
I get it. There, and I don't know if we've looked at this any other, like all ways. Are we waiting for the Final Four of this NFL season to be done with? Or is there somebody from the Broncos, Seahawks, Rams, or Patriots that the Eagles want to talk to? Is that would you
not talk to somebody in the Sean McVay tree?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're waiting for everyone to sort of wash out,
Okay. But here's the thing: is there's no need for an OC until, right now. Like right now, there's no need for an OC until maybe free agency starts and you want to get their input on something.
Well, right, but like for John, everyone says John Harbaugh, all you had to do was kind of wait a week, and he would have maybe gotten the opportunity in Buffalo or whatever.
I think he did kick himself a little bit on that one.
Yeah, so
Buffalo would have John Harbaugh here in a minute.
So maybe there is something to that, but there is something to the other stuff, right? And again, and I hear about it every night. I host the fine program, The Final Word with Matty B, Sundays through Thursday at 9 p.m. here on the Instagram Sports Network. So make sure you check it out. I hear it every night. Let's just go out and trade for so-and-so. Let's just go out and sign so-and-so. Let's just go out and hire. Like, it's that easy. Like, we're so, like, everyone wants to, they're lining up to come here. And I think we're finding out that, one, nobody wants Nick Castellanos. Nobody wants Alec Boehm. And apparently no one wants to come here and be the OC to a certain level. Don't tell me that they didn't want McDaniel. I know they wanted him. Don't tell me they also did not covet Brian Dable. They did. And for whatever reason, those two individuals did not want to come here. And that's the right. So let's accept it at face value that it's not 100% sunshine and roses in Philadelphia. There's a lot of personalities on this thing that maybe some coordinators are not really interested in getting into the foxhole with. Jalen Hurts being one, and of course Nick Sirianni being the other. On the other hand, they're doing their due diligence and they're taking their time, at least on the surface it looks like that. And I know homers are going to twist it their way, and I'm going to twist it my way. I'm no different than a homer. I just come on the other side of things. But
the homer and the hater. By the way, Mike said that should be the new show that me and you do together. Homer and hater.
The homer and the hater.
Homers versus hater.
No, so listen, maybe there's a 50-50 split here, but again, I go to this facade that we are, we're Xanadu. Like, everyone wants to come to Philadelphia. Apparently nobody wants Nick Castellanos or Alec Boehm. We can't give him away, right? But yet we're going to make these magical trades. What did I hear someone tell me once?
Well, that's my favorite. That's the knowledgeable fan base right there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The knowledgeable fan base. Well, here's our garbage. Give us some of your gold.
Yeah, exactly. You want Alec Boehm. You know he'll work out. So, no, I think it's 50-50. But there are reports from reputable sources that there's some things that people don't want to, hey, McDaniel doesn't want to wear because he wants to wear shorts all year long, or he doesn't want to work with Jalen Hurts. I mean, there is something to this.
Well, here's the thing is, personally, if I'm in any say, like if I'm part of the Eagles organization on helping in the coaching hiring, I don't want either one of those guys.
Why?
I'd be okay-ish with Dable. What has McDaniels done in his career that makes you go? He had who was supposed to be better than Jalen Hurts, Tua, and he couldn't. Now Tua had a lot of injuries. Don't get me wrong, but he couldn't get shit out of him. Speaking, hold on one second. We're gonna have to change.
Speaking of what?
Speaking of somebody who's figure this out. I'm going to introduce him right now. The man from the afternoons who, by the way, when we bring him on, right at the end, I got to talk to him about how I think he got hosed in the naming of the afternoon show.
Really? What happened with that?
I'm going to talk to him about that because I think they missed a golden opportunity. But the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Fritz is here from WIP's own Jack Fritz. Jack, what is going on, my friend?
Right on time at 9:40. Just we planned 9:20.
It's all good.
I was making breakfast for the fam, and I was like, I had nothing to do this morning. And I was like, oh crap, it's 9:35. So sorry, my bad.
Nobody's going anywhere. They're locked in.
Yeah, no one's going anywhere today, so.
Yeah, might as well talk sports for like 10 hours today. There's nothing else to do.
I'm down with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we do it anyway. Just put a camera in front of us. But the point is, we got to talk Phillies baseball. Jack, I would, from the years of listening to you on WIP, a lot of times I'd say from our outlook kind of lines up a lot how we look at the Phillies. Usually optimistic, I would say, depending on what's going on. How does Jack Fritz right now, January 25th, 10 in the morning, with a bunch of snow outside, how does he currently feel about the Philadelphia Phillies' current situation?
He currently feels a little downtrodden, I guess. Listen. So as you react to the Bichette, you react to the Freddie Peralta, you see what the Mets are doing. And you have a little bit of jealousy, of course, of like, look at all those moves they're making. Now, I do think the Mets had more moves to make. So, just the optics of a team that is really gunning for it versus a team that is content, as they said, with where they are. Now, I think that it's so funny, right? Because with prospects, people are like, the Phillies don't call them up till they're 30 anyway. And then when they're like, hey, we're going to start Justin Crawford every day, people are like, hold on. What do you mean you're going to start? Like, that's crazy. You're not going to be good enough. So, you know, I am starting to get excited about the idea of Crawford and Painter and eventually Aiden Miller. And by the way, those guys are massive from the standpoint of the future of this team. They are where they are money-wise, but it's a lot of bloated contracts. I think what you're seeing this offseason is Castellanos, Nola, and Taiwan are really screwing them from the ability to go and get in some of these markets. You know, people have been begging them to do the short-term contract high AAV thing. They can't do that right now. I mean, the Bichette contract would have cost them $100 million, which is ridiculous. You know, they don't have Steve Cohen money. So I'm definitely down. I wanted more action this offseason, but they're still the Phils.
You know, Jack, to caveat off that, heading into the offseason, I really thought that this team needed a DNA change.
Mm-hmm.
That there's really not much that, you know, with the bloated contracts and the extended money and the extended years, I didn't really expect them to be primetime players. And we had the 3 internal free agents that everybody was, you know, clamoring. I thought they should have taken that Schwarber money and went after Alonso, but whatever, we got Schwarber back. But that's all I thought they were good for was one major move in free agency. The real change of this team for me is going to come, as you just mentioned, with the prospects. And I'm going to double down and throw in Gabe Raconis Jr. I'm going to throw in,
Nice.
I'm going to throw in Gene Cabrera, maybe not this year. If he doesn't get traded, hopefully he makes it through, because I think he'll start with AAA this year. And hopefully in 2027, we see him in some role with the Phillies. Escobar a little bit further down the road. Those are the names that I want to see with the way the contracts are set up with this team. That's how the DNA of this baseball team changes. Not with Kyle Tucker, not with Bellinger. Maybe Bichette does, because you actually have a number 2 hitter that, in my opinion, that can actually make contact. But
yeah,
And he's young.
Yeah. And he's young. I get that, but nobody had Bo. At least I didn't have Bo Bichette on my Halloween bingo card as I was starting to look at the offseason. You're on your Christmas list, which was the day after Christmas, by the way. And but anyway, my point is this, Jack: the infusion or the change of the DNA. It's just a reality that it's going to have to come within, because, and Dombrowski said it for the first time in my time listening to Dombrowski give press conferences. Last year at the end of season press conference, he mentioned the prospects by name. He's never done that before. He's mentioned prospects, but he's never gone down the list and started naming off names. I think they will have a big time effect on the 2026 Phillies.
Yeah, well, so I agree with you. I guess my one thing on that is I just wish there was more of a direct path this offseason. And I feel like they kind of chose the path of, we're good, we're going to make the playoffs probably, barring injuries and everything. Like, honestly, if they came in and was like, we're just going to play a bunch of the kids and see what we have, and this is a transition year, and we're not going to re-sign JT so we can keep, 3 years, $45 million off the books, I would have been fine re-signing Schwarber regardless, because I do think that he's actually a good guy for the kids to come up and learn under. I think from that standpoint, it's important. And so, but they kind of chose the path of, no, we're still really in this thing by re-signing JT and by re-signing Schwarber and by being in on Bo Bichette. I think that's where the disappointment comes in, because I feel like they're trying to sell that, hey, we're still gunning for the World Series, when I think every Phillies fan is like, I mean, sure, you're one of the 3 best teams in the NL, but are you really better? So I think that's the one thing. But I totally agree. I mean, it's like the 2030s are at stake with what these prospects can give you, with Crawford, with Miller. If you want to start breaking down Francisco Renteria, I'd be thrilled.
We can do that if you want. We can go Dante Nori, Gage Wood, Hedinger, Disson. Let's go through them all, man.
Wasn't there a rumor that they were going to bring up Gage Wood like the second they got him, like walk him in the door and go, okay, here's your locker.
That wasn't you started that, was it, Jack?
So I think that was me. I think I was the first one saying, see you in September. Listen, if he wanted to be a bullpen piece in September, now the good thing is the bullpen kind of rounded itself into form and they didn't need him. But, I was on the aggressive timeline push of – because, dude, he was disgusting in the World Series. He looks like a nasty reliever if they wanted to make him that. I started thinking about, 2006 Wainwright and these kind of guys. So
Jack, you know he got lit up in the Blue Claws, not Blue Claws, but the Threshers playoff game. They're like the clinching game that they could have won. He finished the season with like a ERA above 13. You do know that, right?
I know.
Okay.
Well, it was like 3 starts. It was like
well,
3
by the
starts.
way, Jack was going, Maddie. Not everybody knows that, but thanks for pointing it out now.
yeah.
By the way, I'm never coming on again.
Never. I would never do that to Matt. But no, I said on the podcast, I said I think I'm more excited for the minor league season than the Philly season.
Well, I said the same thing. I actually went out. It was National Hat Day, as you can tell, I'm a big hat guy. And I went on the Iron Pigs website. They had like $10 hats, and I said, "Well, I'm going to be needing them this year because that's what's going to be keeping me going." But that's the question. This is my last question for you. Is the content word came out, which I think it was like the worst word anybody could use in Philly sports is we're content with what we have. Would you been happy if they're going to go with what they have currently right now and not use the word content, or would you prefer them to go out and say, listen, it's time, kind of like what Matt said, because I agree with Matt. If you have to kind of pick a lane and move with it, I want to take the youth run and give Crawford, give Miller, give all these guys, Painter, an opportunity to do what they do. And the guys are young enough and in contracts long enough that in the next year or two, not say these words, but we know in the next year or two could be something more effective for this team.
Yeah, so I'll use a little bit of a cop out here because I actually think they could have done. And they still can. Listen, it is January 25th. They can. I think content was used. It was a little bit like if we don't with McPhail. That was my first thought of like, geez, we can't be going back to McPhail. But so I think it was mostly GM speak. I think that the one thing after the Bichette thing, after the Peralta thing, I want to see maybe some anger, I guess, from the front office of like, well, we're going to go do this now. And it was just pivoting to re-sign JT. But I think that they can actually do both. I just would like to see if they can close out the offseason with some Luzardo-like trade. I'm not saying for another starting pitcher, but something creative that we didn't see coming. I think I'd be happy with that. The nice part is they can kind of do both. They're not going to pay Alec Bohm, so Aiden Miller can take over third base next year or the following year. Listen, I love Aiden Miller. I think that there's a lot of projections off of what was a fantastic August and like a week up in Lehigh Valley. This talk of having him on the opening day roster, I think is crazy. Yeah. I think he's really, really good. I think he's going to be awesome, like a multi-time All-Star. I just think we're rushing him a little bit. I'd rather just let him season at Lehigh Valley and if he's like going off and making the decision really, really hard, great. But I want him to make him earn it in a way. Mm-hmm. So they can kind of do both with Crawford in center, even though I don't think he's a center fielder. I think he's more of a left fielder at this point with the center field profile, but you kind of let him go out there and see what he can do. That's fine. Aiden eventually at third. Painter's already kind of penciled into the rotation. They're not like so prospect deep that they have these guys ready to go at every single spot. So you're going to have those guys. You're going to have Gage Wood. I think will be here earlier than later. So they can kind of do both, but I just would like to see them kind of close out the offseason with something creative that does give a little bit of juice to the team. Because right now it's like the mood in the city is so miserable when it comes to the baseball team.
And that's my perfect segue. So everyone knows about the Castellanos stuff, right? There's actually no way that we can conceivably look at a Phillies team that consists of Nick Castellanos. But Alec Bohm is also a name that's been kind of lately been pulled into that same direction. I go back to that comment they both made on the way out of town, on the way to LA, in reference to the fans and the negativity also bringing players down. They both sort of said the same thing. Is there any scenario that Jack Fritz can see that's healthy for this baseball? Healthy for their mental acuity for this baseball team to start 2026? Does Nick Castellanos get anywhere near that locker room in Clearwater in 2026? And why are we so quick to give Alec Bohm a pass when I think not only has he made those comments in the past, and the recent past, I effing hate this place, all that, but now he knows we openly want him gone because we literally were going after his replacement in free agency, and it was a big thing when it didn't work out. How bad or how good is it for the mental health of this baseball team that both of them would be part of it this year?
Well, so Castellanos like 0% chance. What's happening right now with Castellanos is basically they're waiting for Andujar to sign, Bader to sign, the right-handed bats that are left, Austin Hayes, whoever, and then one of these teams they're just begging to take the Phillies will eat $15 million. So the Marlins always make sense because he's from there. All these low market teams are starting to get slapped on the hand for not spending money. So maybe they're like, all right, we'll take Castellanos for $5 million, and that gets them off their hands. So Castellanos, I just done. Bohm's always interesting from mentality wise because he doesn't exactly scream tough in a way. And I wish he. I'm so sick of the 6'5" slap hitting third baseman. Like I would rather start Kemp, honestly. Just give me
100%.
something.
Yes,
100%.
Yes,
give me something else. But the Phillies have overvalued him for 2 off seasons where they overvalue him, and then they also head in the offseason saying we're going to trade him, and it's just like maybe just don't do that. Maybe don't do that. But I guess the good part about his mentality maybe this year is that it is a contract year. So, and he almost got traded last year, and he already went through all of it. So maybe now he's more used to it. And the one that I think is interesting too is JT. I mean, JT, they did a whole press conference, and they were like talking about a gut punch it was that Bichette wasn't in Philly, and JT's just sitting there, So I think he's a pro. He knows how the game works. He was trying to get the most money. He understood that. But JT's another one where it's like, well, what's his attitude going to be like? I think it's going to be fine. But it's definitely one to kind of monitor as well. So yeah, I'm curious about a team that is knocking the doorstep as much as they have, kind of getting it back up, in a way for another season. They're all playing in the World Baseball Classic, it seems. And I mean, Nola being on Team Italy is such a joke. I mean, it's just
what part of Italy is the Nola family from? Exactly.
I don't know.
What part is it from? The Cajun part of Italy? I mean, where are they from?
Little Italy one day, and that's how he got his Italian heritage right there. And that was one thing I was going to bring up later, but I guess what you just mentioned it, like it's Embiid in the Olympics again. It's Aaron Nola. Everybody, they got guys coming off statistically their worst season. They just signed a mega contract that's going to have us locked in and paying for him for at least a few more years going on. And they're happy with this. Like, is it at one point do they go, listen, man, you were not good at all last year. We need you to focus on here. We can't have you breaking down. Like, I just keep going back to Trey Turner, World Baseball Classic, when he came here. Didn't love it then either, but everybody was excited because he was knocking the cover off the ball, and then he comes here and he was just blah. Yeah.
I know. So
I totally disagree with that.
Well, I'm fine with the U.S. players playing. I don't want any pitchers in it really. But I can't wait to see Harper and Schwarber play. I love the World Baseball Classic. I'm a sicko with that stuff. The Nola one drives
2 months for some reason because of it. But
that'll be bad. 100%. Yeah. I understand. The Nola one drives me nuts because, like, dude, you have no connection to Italy. You had a 6 ERA last year. You were hurt for 2.5 months. They're paying you an ungodly contract that you're not worth anymore. Maybe let's just focus on. And by the way, Italy's going to get blasted. They have no chance to win. They have Sal Frelick, they have Pascatino from the Royals, Jack Caglione. Great, awesome. You're going to get blasted. So you're just wasting time. You're just absolutely wasting time. So the Nola one drives me nuts. I hope Sanchi. I think the Phillies had to grant him permission to pitch for the Dominican Republic. I would like them to deny that just because I don't need any pitchers pitching in this. Ranger missed a month in 2023. But hitters, I'm mostly fine with. I think because listen, we got to take down Japan and get revenge for 2023. And I just think that the team's sick. I love the
world. I love the World Baseball Classic, but I want nothing to do with any of my Phillies on there. Sorry, it's just
I know.
Like Manny says, I watch baseball to win World Series. Now I'm talking about Hey,
how
cool
could
will
you not
baseball
like
be?
playoff baseball in March? How the hell could you not like playoff baseball
Yeah,
in March?
you know what? You want to talk about these guys getting exhausted, and you're having a canary mid-October.
Exhausted in 2-week tournament? Dude, come on, man.
Hey, man, it all adds up, especially as these guys get older. But my last question to you, and it's a really easy, quick one. What's the email for the complaint department? I have 2 complaints to WIP. Number one, I remember when you guys announced that Spike was joining you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you were trying to come up with names, and I'm sitting there in my car, and I came up with like 10 names, and I just felt like because your name works so much better with the lead on it, and they completely just a little ego because I said, why not get fritzed with Ike, Spike, and Jack? Like that right there would have just been so much better than all the other names that were coming out.
Well, they shut down Fritz and Friends. I thought that
Fritz and Friends, what I like that one.
That made me laugh out loud. I'll be honest with you, in the car, I laughed out loud on that.
I thought that was a good one. Yeah, I don't know. At least we didn't want to do one of those gimmicky, we just wanted to be who we were and whatever. It works now, and honestly, I'm just glad my name's on the show. So that's all I really care about.
I just wanted Spike's email so I send one and yell at him. That's all.
Nice.
All right, Jack. My final question, and we'll let you go. I got two final questions. We'll let you go. First question, we kind of glossed over the pitching, but it's a real topic that I don't think is getting as much attention as it needs to heading into the season. Now, first and foremost, the Phillies pitching is the reason why they got to where they got to last year. I firmly believe that. And they're returning pretty much the same group in the same type of situation because I'm going to count Wheeler as not being part of the rotation for quite a bit of time last season. But heading into 2026, how important do you think this pitching is, and how good can they be, or how good are they going to be? And what do you project as your opening day pitching rotation?
Well, first off, it's their only chance to win a World Series is if these guys, go off. So and they are equipped to do so. I think they're going to be it's similar to last year. I think Luzardo is going to be more consistent. Now he had the 2 starts where he allowed 20 runs, and that probably if you take those out, his ERA is like 3.03. But obviously in a contract year, I think Luzardo is going to be extra motivated. Sanchi, I just think he's almost impossible to hit with his fastball changeup combo. So I have no real worries about him. I think he's going to be similar to last year. Wheeler, I'm kind of in wait and see mode with him. I hope he's fine. And
his surgery worries me. I'm just going to tell you I work in the medical field. I've seen herniated disc surgeries. I've seen tears. I've seen these kind of repairs, and people jump back from thoracic outlet surgery has been one where he had a different type of the vascular thoracic outlet surgery, which is a little different than the other one, but I've seen people have lingering and really bad effects from thoracic outlet syndrome and the surgery therefrom.
Yeah, and I also wonder if you have to just chalk 2026 up as like a recovery year and you focus on 27 with Wheeler. Hopefully that's not the case, but that might be the case. So yeah, I think the opening day starter is Sanchez, and then it goes, Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola, Taijuan, Painter, and I think that they'll sign one other guy here to a minor league deal or give him some real money for a major league deal. They got to find their Spencer Turnbull, from a couple years ago. So I think they're going to sign one more starter and, let him compete with Taijuan or just give them some quality depth, someone that could be a swing guy, that can start and also eat some innings if they need be out of the bullpen.
I agree. And me and Al were kind of on the Walker Buehler train. I wouldn't mind seeing Buehler come back under a manageable contract for 1 year.
Yeah. I thought last year he got through with smoke and mirrors. So I'd be curious. I'd be curious if his fastball is ticking back above 95 again, because 93 miles an hour Walker Buehler, not the same as prime Walker Buehler.
2 miles per hour makes a difference. And the last thing we'll leave you here is Soldier Steve asks, Fritz, make sure you kick Joe's ass in basketball in April. The hammer needs some humbling.
Is this still a thing, man? You guys still doing this?
Well, dude, he's been
put it to bed, man. It's getting old. Come on,
I'm trying.
I think Joe DeCamera's getting old, and he doesn't know it yet. So
I think
Joe's trying to prolong this. He's just pushing this thing out and out and out. He's just I don't know what
I
mean.
I can't wait for it to be over. Are you kidding me? I can't wait for it to be over. All I want to do is go play stupid 101 to 11, whatever rules, and just get this nonsense over with, and
Tell
go.
him prison rules. I want to see how Joe the camera reacts to the word prison rules and see how.
Yeah. I'm gonna get my life back. Get my life back.
Oh,
So,
yeah. That's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
All right, man. We appreciate you as always. Great work. And it should be get fritzed. I don't care what anybody says.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll pass it along.
Tell Ike to reach out to me. We'll workshop this together.
Great. Awesome. All right, guys.
All right, bud. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Guys, Jack Fritz, WIP. Thanks for joining us. In a few moments, we're gonna have John Phillips joining us as Matty B said earlier from our Pittsburgh crew at West.
He's my Pittsburgh connection.
He's our guy from Pittsburgh. We're gonna bring him on right now. I think he's ready. So here we go, guys. Because in case you missed it, the news came down. The many HC jobs have been still. Some are waiting. We got 4, I think, still in the waiting right now.
Yeah.
But one has been filled, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers job. Former Green Bay coach and former Dallas Cowboy coach Mike McCarthy joins the Steelers, and guess who joins us? John Phillips. John, what is going on, my friend?
John.
Good morning, Al. Good morning, Matty B. I just got out of the pool. Nice dip this morning. I feel like I'm invigorated. And
where the hell's there a pool at that you can go into? Oh, you were like in a hotel or something?
It's a pool of my own blood. I slipped outside and put a snow already. So
you're talking about
there you go.
Pool.
Happy Sunday morning, guys.
I gotta relook out the window. I'm like, it's still snowing, right? I mean, have we got into summer and this show's been going on that long? But no.
Yeah, it feels like it some days. But the news came down, John, and a bit of a head scratcher in my eyes a little bit. I don't know how. I was trying to watch I know you guys did an impromptu show last night to react to the news about it. And I'll be honest with you, I was out to dinner with the wife, and if I looked at my phone about sports one more time, I probably feel like I got divorce papers instead of being on the show with you right now. What is Pittsburgh's reaction? What is John Phillips' reaction to Mike McCarthy?
Well, the fans' reaction is upset. They're upset. I think, number one, they were anticipating a young coordinator to be hired, specifically defensive. I think the base was waiting for Chris Shula to come free for an in-person interview. He had already done a virtual about a week or so ago with the Steelers. And so, the fan base is basically screaming, this is, Tomlin 2.0, and if you look at Tomlin and McCarthy and you look at John Harbaugh, literally their resumes are virtually the same, right? They're almost interchangeable in some ways. And I just got done writing an article this morning for our Facebook page, and I spam that out online. Here's what I say about all of this. Art Rooney II, and for what it's worth, I know the Lauries own the Eagles, and they seem to do a pretty good job of keeping the franchise in modern times. You've won 2 Super Bowls in the last hey, you've got 2 Lombardis in the last 6 years, fellas. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we haven't sniffed a Super Bowl in 16 years now. Okay. Art Rooney II is the president of the franchise. He is the son of Dan Rooney, who was the architect of the dynasty that became what is known as Steeler Nation. He is not his dad. He's an attorney by trade. He inherited this position 20 years ago when his father started to kind of slow down, and has kind of taken over the family business. And a lot of people have felt that the Rooneys have held the franchise back. In the modern era, there have been 35 head coaches that have won Super Bowls. Mike Tomlin went 9 years without a playoff win, the longest of any coach to take that number into another season. And he had to step down for a change to happen. I mean, Art had a press conference the day after Tomlin stepped down, and he said he was ready to run it back, which was stunning, but it's also typical of what I just talked about. So for McCarthy, here's what I tell Steeler fans in general. Give this franchise the next 10 to 14 days to see what kind of staff he puts together, okay? Because he's 62 years old. He's not a long-term guy, obviously. He's not going to coach. I mean, I know some coaches will go into their 70s if they're successful. I mean, that does happen. But let's just say he's a 5-year gap Well, yeah, right, yeah, exactly. And Andy Reid and Belichick is still coaching into his 70s. I mean, we could talk about the whole Patriots thing at another time, but the simple truth of the matter is that I want to see what his staff looks like. The Steelers are also notorious for not spending money on a staff. They have traditionally one of the smallest staffs, if not the smallest staff in the league. And if Mike McCarthy has convinced them to spend some more money on his staff and increase the size of the staff, they have no analytics, right? They have no, I mean, I never heard of a running game coordinator before, but apparently, and I know it's popular in college ball, but the Carolina Panthers have running game coordinators, passing
We
game
got one too.
coordinators. I think, yeah, you've got them. I think the Rams have them. The Seahawks have them. So I'm willing to hold out over the next 10 to 14 days to really pass judgment, but this does fall on Art II and Omar Khan. And one last thing before I let you speak again, Khan goes back to 2000, 2001 with McCarthy when they were both on staff in New Orleans. So it's really on Khan and Tomlin, or excuse me, Khan and Art to supply Mike with a bigger staff, I think, and more money to increase the staff and pay more to maybe have a chance at turning things around here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, John, Matty B here. How you doing? Good. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Well,
me and Al were talking as we. Oh, thank you. As well, see Al, see how easy it is to say that.
He doesn't deal with you like I do.
We were talking before we came on, or as we came on, and we made a comment that in my lifetime, in my 52 plus years on this planet, this will only be the fourth Steelers head coach that I have seen. I was born in the Chuck Noll era. I took through Cowher, now Tomlin, now McCarthy. And we were talking about how that would go over here in Philadelphia, as you mentioned, all the years of futility, not making the playoffs and all that, but the 6 Super Bowl championships overall. Because we talk about 2 Super Bowls like it's friggin' legendary. I can't imagine what it's like to talk about 6 Super Bowls. So I guess my question is, and you already sort of answered it, but I want to hear more about it. Do you think some of the Steeler angst or Steeler fan angst is about that they can't really envision McCarthy being anything more than a stopgap 3 or 4 or 5 year guy?
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely agree with that. And that's why I say, let's see what kind of staff he can bring in here. And if the Rooneys are willing to increase what they spend on that staff, increasing the size of the staff and having more money to spend on staff is critical. Look, they routinely rank nearly dead last when they do these player surveys and these surveys that that the league puts out. The Steelers rank dead last in a lot of these categories, and especially when it comes to money and what they spend on the players and the staff in general. You can't lure away top talent if you're not going to pay in line with what others are getting, depending on experience and things of that nature. Now, the good news for McCarthy, he's got a big tree, right? Here in Pittsburgh, the joke was Tomlin's tree is a telephone pole. There's no branches on it, right? It just goes straight up. And he was notoriously poor in terms of who he hired because he didn't hire a good personnel around him. He kicked out an offensive coordinator who ended up later going on to coach and win a Super Bowl down in Tampa. So, this is something that has to change, the staff size and what they spend on these guys. And there's already names that are starting to come out. The Packers senior assistant Luke Getsy, he's a Steel Valley native. He played his high school ball here in Pittsburgh. Alex Van Pelt, Rams senior offensive assistant. He was a quarterback at Pitt. There's a coach on the Raiders staff, Joe Philbin, that's already being talked about. Robert Prince, wide receiver coach in Miami. Some of these names, and then some other people that are going to come up. We'll see where the staff falls in the next 10 to 14 days. And yeah, the angst is he's 62. He's not traditionally what they have hired. They've hired defensive coordinators in their 30s, and I'm 56, and I've gone through a couple of these coaching changes myself. I covered I was early in my career, when Chuck Noll stepped down and Bill Cowher, became the head coach. I was at his first scrimmage against Buffalo in '92. I covered, him early in his career, when I worked for the Steelers flagship many, many years ago, and, working for 6 years at CBS Radio in Pittsburgh, covering Tomlin. I covered Super Bowl 45. So, I've been through a few of these. working in television when the transition between Cowher and Tomlin happened as well. This is the third one that I've had a chance to kind of, and it doesn't happen very often here. That's why the fan base is so up in arms over what took place. They expected something along the lines of what Dan Rooney had done traditionally, but Dan's long gone. He's no longer in charge, and his son is in charge. And there's a young Dan Rooney coming through the ranks too that may eventually ascend to the top of the heap in terms of running the franchise. But for right now, I say to Steeler fans, give it a couple weeks. Let's see what the staff looks like. Let's see if they are willing to increase the budget and who they can bring in here, and then we can start figuring out who the quarterback's going to be and where they're at in April come the draft, because it is here in Pittsburgh and they have 12 picks. They have 12 picks. And so this team is depleted in a variety of areas. I can't see them moving up to take a quarterback. I can't see the Raiders giving up that number one unless they're getting, an absolute boatload of talent in return. So if you can't go up and get Mendoza, you're going to have to try to develop Will Howard, who's a 6th-round pick, the kid from Ohio State that won the national title 2 years ago, and who actually is going to be their quarterback. Are they going to bring back Aaron Rodgers? There's Kyler Murray out there, Malik Willis. Those are a couple of names. Joe Flacco's been talked about. There's a lot to be answered here in the next 2 weeks in terms of staff before we start talking about personnel for the Steelers.
Well, we were talking about this earlier, John, because us being a Philly-based show on this one, and of course you guys Pittsburgh out there, we were talking about the difference from that, like and somebody just put up here, Steve put up here about he said the Rooneys are why the Steelers are 6-time Super Bowl winners. They are. Fans questioning what they're doing are dumbasses, such an ungrateful fan base. But at the same time, I know Steve is a Eagles fan, and we just won a Super Bowl last year, and that's an ungrateful fan base. They wanted to fire. So I'm not saying Steve did, but people wanted to fire Nick Sirianni. I mean, is there a plus minus to the way the Pittsburgh runs their things nowadays? Like knowing that a coach is going to be locked in, like you said it yourself, like, oh, maybe he's going to be here about 5 years. Like, our coaches in our head, it's 3 years.
Please don't tell them that there is something to that, John. Please don't, because I don't want to deal with Sirianni another friggin' year. All right, Sirianni's a boob, and this is the Homer way of trying to backdoor this topic. Please tell him it's a terrible, terrible, terrible method to do this, to leave somebody there for 18 years. I know what you're doing. All right, you know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Come on now. Go ahead, John.
All right.
Sorry.
So
I apologize for Al.
It's okay. Look, franchises, and this is what, like when Tomlin obviously decided to step down, and even before that, the Bills game late in the season, I think it was the first game in December, where they just got boat raced at home, and the Bills set a record for rushing yards by an opponent in that building. They ran for like 265 yards, and the boos were coming out, and they were chanting "Fire Tomlin." So the writing was on the wall for Mike, but the problem is the current leadership. Current leadership was willing to run it back with Mike this year had he decided to stick around. And again, I say this because I looked this up. 35 head coaches have won a Super Bowl. Nobody went more than 6 years before losing their job without a playoff win, and that was Tom Landry. Okay, that was Tom Landry. He went 6 seasons without a playoff win before he got fired. Tomlin went 9, and the Steelers were willing to run it back. Coaches come under fire everywhere. Doesn't matter if it's professional, college, high school. Doesn't matter. If you're a coach and you're underperforming, your fan base is going to want you to be gone, and a new change is being made. Should Sirianni be fired after 1 year after winning a Super Bowl? Absolutely not.
Yes.
Absolutely
not. Yes.
But
yes.
He's
and that's fine.
It's like he's going.
Yeah, right. Somebody pick the needle up and start the record again, right?
Smack him back in the head.
So what I'm saying is that this current leadership group, Art II, does not do things like his father, and nobody expected him to be Dan, but we expected something more. That's why I've always said, when it comes to Art, he's an attorney first who happened to inherit the job of the family business, and he's not going to farm that job out to a president because that means money, right? They're notoriously cheap for being worth $6.5 billion. That has to change in some way. You have to drag yourself into this modern era where you're paying people money. If you're not fully vested like other franchises are, who will turn coaches over in just a few short years if they don't win, right? Because they want to win and they expect to win. If they have won and they're not getting results after a year or 2 or 3 years, boom, they make a coaching change, right? That hasn't been the same here. 3 coaches in 55 years, 56 years essentially. So we'll see how McCarthy goes, but I do think it's indicative of ownership, and they just wanted an easy transition from Tomlin. McCarthy is a Pittsburgh native. I will say that. For those that don't know, he grew up in Greenfield, which is a suburb just inside the city limits. It's a safe hire for them, and I can't expect more from Art Rooney II at this point in time. The safe hire was probably his only play, and again, I want to see what kind of staff he brings in, and that will determine a lot more for me in terms of how I look at this hire over the next 30 days at least.
Well, you said one thing there that kind of I don't put credence in. A lot of people do, but maybe it's just me, that he's from Pittsburgh. Like, I honestly don't want my coaches or players from the area. I think that puts more pressure on them to do things, because they're getting phone calls. Hey, give me some tickets. Hey, doing it, like whatever. I just don't see the plus to having a guy who's from the area. Like, oh, because he knows where to get a good sandwich at. Like, is that where the plus comes into that?
I don't think so. I mean, Bill Cowher was a native of Pittsburgh, and they hired him many, many years ago, and that worked out pretty decently. The problem that you talked about, is that, there's a higher expectation. And, Cowher admittedly said years after he had left the position that there were times, because he was notorious for losing AFC championship games, right? He lost, he lost the AFC championship game at home, especially at home, to San Diego. He lost to Denver. He lost 2 to the New England Patriots at home. He admitted that he wouldn't go out until late at night. If he needed gas in his car, he'd wait till midnight, 1 a.m. And he told a story where one night he went out super late and he was getting gas, and a couple fans were getting gas, and they looked and they saw him and they were giving him the eye, and he was like, it was like, that's the kind of pressure that you allude to when you're hiring stuff. Yeah, right. Exactly. So, but and maybe he pulled that half-heartedly. It isn't just Philadelphia. It isn't just Philadelphia. Well, that is very typical Philadelphia. But the truth of the matter is that I don't care if he's from Pittsburgh or not. Can he turn this around? Can we get to 11 or 12 wins? Can we get a playoff victory? That would be kind of nice. Yeah. After waiting 10 years, can we get a change in how the offense looks? We're stuck in the 70s, a run, pass, right? We run the ball and we play defense. That's not today's NFL. Today's NFL is much, much different. The offenses are completely different, and we have been stuck in this era for quite a long time. Even in Ben's early days, it was Ben threw the ball early, but then it was run, and play good defense. We had good defenses in 2005 and 2008. For $151 million, gentlemen, most expensive defense in the NFL this year, I think we finished 27th or 28th in total defense. It was a disaster defensively this year for us. And especially against the run. It wasn't until our number 1 draft pick got healthy where we kind of had a better run defense. Derek Harmon, the kid from Oregon that we drafted in the first round, he missed the first 2 games of the regular season, and we got trampled by the Jets, and obviously Seattle's having an amazing year. Both those teams ran all over us until Harmon came back, and it improved our run defense by almost 100 yards a game. So we have questions on the defensive side. McCarthy's an offensive guy. We have questions, all kinds of questions. We had no wide receiver 2 all year, right? And we have these 2 we had a running back by committee as well. Our best free agent pickup in years was Kenny Gainwell, and we got him.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. We got him ready for you.
Well, he's a free agent again. Like he's going to get paid this year. I hope the Steelers spend the money on him. I'm hoping he'll come back here because he was dynamic and we needed him. And again, Jalen Warren as our RB1, I was never sold on him as an RB1. I really thought we should have re-signed Najee or at least extended him one more year on a contract, but it didn't go that way. He was durable. I know he wasn't exciting, but I thought he provided stability. He was not a problem off the field either. That's always a plus in today's world of sports. But I want to see who the coordinators are and the staff. And based on all of that, I'll then start to pass some judgment on the actual decision.
John, growing up as a kid of the 80s, or born in the 70s, growing up in the 80s, obviously the Steelers, the Cowboys, and then a little bit later on the 49ers were the cream of the crop of that era of football for me as a young child. And one of the things that all those teams can point to is really good, competent quarterback play. And I think that's true today as it was yesterday. As we can look around the NFL today and we can honestly be like, this is really to me, it's so fundamental that you build the team around. I know there's people that you build the team out from the trenches and all that. Yes, you do. But if you don't have a competent signal caller, and that's a competent, not elite, not great, but a competent signal caller, you're not going to get the plane off the ground. In my time as a casual, and I am not going to, maybe casual is wrong, as an observer of the Steelers, Big Ben is really it. When I look back on Steeler lore about competent quarterback play in my lifetime, and now you're looking at a situation in 2026, and Aaron Rodgers. Listen, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer, and he is what he is, but he's getting a little old, and
he's toast. That's what he is. He's burnt toast.
No, he's not. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback that I would take on my team as a backup any day. He's not somebody I'm building my franchise around these days, but. The point is this, and you mentioned the Mendoza situation, quarterback draft class, not deep at all, nothing really at all this season. Again, Mike McCarthy, Mike Tomlin, Vince Lombardi, I don't care who you, George House, whoever you got on the sidelines. If you don't have a competent quarterback, you ain't going anywhere. What is the Steelers' plan, in your opinion, going forward with that position? Is it Aaron Rodgers back with Mike McCarthy?
Some of the guys that cover the team directly feel like this is almost a done deal, that it's 90% certain that Aaron's coming back for one more year. I go back a few more years than you. I was on the back end of Terry's career. I was a child, obviously, at the time, and a young teenager when, his career came to an end. I don't care what anybody says. Terry Bradshaw is a top 10, top 15 quarterback all time in my books. The guy had a cannon. He won. He called all of his own plays. His plays in Super Bowl 13 and 14, those 78, 79 seasons were why they were able to win those third and fourth Super Bowls. And you're right, Ben, the retirement of Ben, and then since then, Kenny Pickett, disaster. It was a disaster for a variety of reasons, of which I won't get into here. Mitch Trubisky, they brought in Russell Wilson, they brought in Justin Fields. They've had this run of subpar quarterback play that Tomlin was very much part of, unfortunately. And so having a competent quarterback is critical. I saw one of your commenters saying, "Oh, McCarthy helped Joe Montana when he was at Kansas City." LOL. Keep in mind, when Joe Montana left San Francisco and he was basically kicked out, right? He was kicked out for Steve Young. Joe was on the back end of his career. Mike McCarthy was his offensive coordinator and worked with him and helped revitalize Joe's career. And they had a couple pretty good runs in Kansas City with an aging superstar quarterback. Okay. Mike McCarthy is a quarterback guy. He has a history of working with Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Montana, Dak Prescott. He worked with who in Kansas City? I'm trying to think of his name. Green in early in his career. I mean, he's worked with a bunch of different quarterbacks and has had success with them. So who they bring in here, and I hate to say this, Al, I'd take 3,400 yards, 26 or 27 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions from Aaron Rodgers again next year, if it means they're going to bridge either a Will Howard or somebody else that they try to pick up in free agency, like a Malik Willis, which now becomes a more realistic possibility, right? Malik Willis now may be saying, hey, I might want to work under that guy, right? If you bring Rodgers in, you bring Malik Willis in, You bring Rodgers in one more year on a friendly contract, and you bring Willis in to work under him and under a guy like McCarthy. Then after next season, now you've got a guy who you may have, depending on the contract you give him, 3 years, 4 years, you have 2 or 3 years on a guy like Malik Willis, who is still very young. He's under 30, right? He has upside to him. And if he's in the right system with the right coaching staff, could really yield the what you need from that position, Matty B, which is the money position in football. Your team lives and dies by quarterback play. No question about it.
I know.
So
Yeah, we
yeah,
lived
without a doubt. Look, for all of his warts, Jalen Hurts has done a pretty decent job.
Come on, John.
You take Jalen Hurts in Pittsburgh right now.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely, I would. I would, 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely, I would. He's got a pedigree to him. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's the pedigree?
He's got
and here's the thing: is his Super Bowl is a lot more recent than McCarthy's
It was not Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl. It was the Eagles' Super Bowl. Will you stop it?
Yeah,
stop.
Yeah, right. His play, along with obviously the play of others, it is a team sport, right? We used to think about wins and losses as a quarterback stat. That has obviously changed. The metrics kind of talk a little bit about that, but he's still the guy under center. He's still the guy responsible for getting the ball downfield. He's the guy responsible for making those split-second decisions to either tuck it and run, or you know what I mean. And
we don't run anymore.
Well, maybe not this year, and yeah, it was a disappointing year for Philadelphia fans, and I know you want to fire everybody, and that's all well and good, but I would take Jalen Hurts here all day long. I'd take him all day long. If I had 3 years of him to decide, I'd take those 3 years and live with the decision, because he's proved that he can be successful in this league.
And just so you know, Matty B has fired me like 17 times. I just keep deleting the emails. Like, I just don't, Matty B has fired his wife a couple times. I think she hasn't got.
So listen, hang on, John. This is what I got to deal with right here. This comment right here. Who was the MVP? Who cares? It's the end of Super Bowl MVP. Who cares? It's a participation trophy. Are you seriously believe that Jalen Hurts was the most valuable player in that Super Bowl? John, this is what I deal with on a daily basis over here, and they're calling me the crazy one.
But he was part of that Super Bowl win.
But he was not the most valuable player of that game.
He wasn't, but he was part of it.
But don't throw the Super Bowl MVP award in my face. We can't call him the MVP of the league because he's not. So we got to go to this Super Bowl MVP nonsense.
He's not. And he went, I don't want to keep John here anymore.
Yeah, John. Yeah, Robin's in a family argument right now.
Yeah. Listen, he was the MVP of that game. Apparently, I mean, look, he played extremely well, and they laid the wood to a juggernaut dynasty. I mean, they absolutely just ran that team out of the building. Okay, and he was a major factor in all of that. And yeah, it's one game, but his play was stellar. The play of that team was spectacular. They deserved to win that trophy and win the championship last year, and Jalen Hurts was a big part of that. I have no problem with who is that? Adam Cease? I have no problem with that comment, Adam. Good job.
Yeah.
I have a huge problem with it.
Yeah, well, Matt has problems with people making sandwiches. We're not going to get into that. But, John, tell everybody where they can find you. And of course, it's on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, but where can they find you and what time?
Yes, of course, on all the social media sites at Steel City Sunday, Pittsburgh Sports Tonight, now moving to 3 nights a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. It's nice to be able to talk sports again. We'll be 4 nights after the Super Bowl. And again, I want to just personally thank Matty B for taking a shot on me and what we were trying to do in the fall. He literally, within a week of the season starting, said, okay, we're going to take your programming. And, I have... I'm excited to be long-term here with It's a Wrap and all you guys, and hopefully we can grow all of this together collectively. And but yeah, if you want to find us on X or Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, it's at Steel City Sunday. And Al, Matt, thanks for Matty B. Thanks for having me on this morning. I really appreciate it.
Listen, don't let Matty B's disposition fool you. He's a sweetheart, but he grows on you like fungus grows on people. But other than that, John, thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you next time, my friend. And by the way, I hate the Penguins. See you later.
Listen, about time somebody threw some respect on me, man. That's class right there. Well, thanking me, not it's a rap sport. Well, I am. It's a rap sport.
You're the Jalen Hurts of It's a Rap Network.
Yeah.
Or the Nick Sirianni of the It's a Rap. Maybe you're the Howie Roseman of the It's a Rap Sports Network. I mean,
listen. Here's the thing. And all this nonsense aside, and this is what I feel. It's not really a shtick. It might be a little bit overblown, but it's just definitely how I feel. The quarterback is the most important position on a team, and we've seen this year in the NFL has been weird because you look at some of the quarterbacks these teams are hurting out there. And again, I've said this before: we could be a lot worse off with Jalen Hurts, 100%. If he was not here, we would be a lot worse off. Yes, we could also be a lot better if we had a different quarterback under center. And there are limitations to Jalen Hurts' game.
So did Jalen Hurts lose us this season?
He didn't win it for us.
But did he lose it to it?
Okay, hang on. Well, listen, I'm going to go back to the Homer side here. I'm going to go back to the Homer way of thinking. Jalen Hurts won his Super Bowl 59. Jalen Hurts was a Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts outdueled Pat Mahomes. I mean, you guys can pitch that kind of narrative, so I'm going to pitch it right back to you and say he did not win it for us, all right? He did not win this for
Jalen Hurts solely. It wasn't a solely like this. Like the defense was fouling the offense. Like he had to take the ball, run it downfield. Like nobody ever clamored for that, and at least I know I haven't. All I've said is you got to give the man the credit where the credit's due. He was a major part of that, right? You can't take it away.
In 2024.
Wait, you mean this last year?
What year are you talking about? You talking about this past season or season before, the Super Bowl season?
Super Bowl season.
Okay, you just say he's a major part of it. No, he was not a major part of it. Saquon Barkley was a major part of it. 2,500 all-purpose yards. That's a major part of it. Jalen Hurts was on the bus, along for the ride with the defense and Saquon Barkley. Stop it by saying that Jalen Hurts was a major part of the 2024 Super Bowl team. You take away Saquon off that. You take away Saquon's contributions. They do not.
You take 2,000 yards off of anybody's team, they're not going to do as well.
I agree. So why are you trying to throw some glaze at Jalen Hurts that he was a major part of that Super Bowl season? He was not. He was a part of it. He was a part, not a major, a part of it. Absolutely. Come on, man. Yeah. Again, let's look at the reality of it, man.
You can't plug and play any quarterback in there and tell me that they
I
have
disagree.
The exact success.
You could have plugged and play any quarterback in that team.
All you want,
I disagree with that.
Can't.
Yes,
you can't. And listen, just like he said, like he'd take Aaron Rodgers with what he did last year. Let me just tell you something, because I knew we had to move on from the conversation, but ask Jordan Love how it was like working under Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Like
ask Carson Wentz how it was like, or ask Jalen about Carson. Again, I'm not talking about the man's character. I'm talking about the man on the field. He's a Hall of Fame.
Listen. He wins. That's what he does. He has winning DNA in him. That's something you can't teach, right? That's something you either have or you don't. And he's still very young, and I don't think that DNA has gone everywhere. If anything, the one good thing we've seen from this team, and we'll see how if the rhythm continues, but they have a down year, and listen, our down year still playoff contention, even though 2023 we're not going to count that one. That playoff they just lucked their way into.
Why can't we count 2023?
Because it was horrible. I mean, but it wasn't much better this year.
They should have been in the playoffs, I'm saying, in 2023.
Okay. You really think they should have been in the playoffs this year?
I'm hoping they lose a game.
Should they have been in the playoffs this year?
Yeah, they earned this year a little bit more. This year was
okay. They were 4-0 to start this year, and they were 7-6 the rest of the way. That's playoff. That's a playoff team.
Yeah. Justin Herbert got into the playoffs.
You're saying they didn't. You said 23 they didn't belong in the playoffs. I agree with you. They didn't belong in the playoffs this year either.
That team was like mentally dejected from the season, like 3-4 games left in the season. Is what I'm saying from that point. But Let's see. Let's hit a couple of these comments. I know we've gone a little long. Jack came on a little later.
It's a snowy day. What do you got to
Yeah.
do?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just trying to make sure you're not keeping you around too long.
No.
I'm going to go a little backwards on some of these messages, but
Let's do it.
That audibled into a lot of those plays this year. Of those plays came in way late. Listen, this has been a big sticking point for me, Nooms.
Yeah.
Way late, little time to audible. The O-line had complained that the plays were coming in so late, and again, I think that's why the sacrificial lamb kind of deserved a little bit of the sacrifice, because he was very slow to the punch. And even the O-line said they couldn't diagnose any blitz packages, anything that's coming in front of them. They had 3 seconds to get the ball. I mean, how many times did they have delay of games this season that was, or borderline should have been delay of games, just came at the last second?
A lot of pre-snap penalties. Yeah.
Yeah. Running the ball was also part of Hurts's DNA. He didn't want to run this year, and the winning DNA didn't matter because he didn't use his legs. He isn't a pocket passer. He needs to use his legs. I agree. I 100% agree with that. And they, in some ways, I don't know if that was Jalen's decision, hopefully he learned from that and he can fix that going forward. If that was the organizational somewhere, they're like, well, we want to protect our QB a little bit, so let's do this, let's do that. Whoever's decision was made should have been like, all right, we're undoing this decision. I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that.
I agree. No, 100%. That's spot on.
Would Tanner McKee won the Super Bowl in 2024 for this team? Adam wants to know.
Okay, again, Adam, you're blocked with the way of the line of thinking. It's the Eagles who won the Super Bowl, not Tanner McKee or Jalen Hurts. The Eagles team won the Super Bowl in 2024. Okay. This individualizing the quarterback position, which I get why you do it, it's not what I'm trying to say here. Yes, if Tanner McKee was the starting quarterback and you still had the contributions from Saquon Barkley and the play of the defense, especially down this stretch, they turned the football. They forced like 31 turnovers heading down the stretch of the season to include the playoffs. Yes, Tanner McKee could have led them along the way to a Super Bowl championship. It's not whether or not Tanner McKee could take the Eagles over his shoulders and win a Super Bowl, because Jalen Hurts has never done that to the Eagles either. Jalen Hurts has never been the reason, period, that the Eagles have won anything. He has been part of some good football teams. Now, 2022 was a really MVP type season, not Super Bowl MVP season, but an MVP type season from Jalen Hurts. We haven't seen that since. So stop it. I am not individualizing the quarterback of winning football games, because Jalen Hurts has never taken this team, with the exception of one time, on his shoulders and led us to victory. So no, Tanner McKee could not have won the Super Bowl, but the Eagles could have. I'm done.
Matt might need to go jump into a pile of snow just to cool off a little bit. I'm waiting for like a snowball for the kind of corner, just hit him in the back of the head or something. The wifey.
But you get my point, though. You understand what I'm trying to say, right?
I know what you're saying, but at the same time, I think you're also not seeing the big picture. Just sit there and tell me that Jalen Hurts isn't a big portion of the success of the Eagles since he's been the starting QB. That you just said like you agreed to me that his legs were a big portion of why when we were successful. Yes. Is it his legs? The tush push success comes with his legs as well. The ability to run and make guys have to spy the quarterback as much opens up the defense. So he's part of that, and not everybody can do that. Am I correct saying those things?
Okay, right. But why was he using his legs a lot of times to make up for those other limitations, right? Let's be honest. A lot of the stuff was designed, but a lot of it was broken down where he just started, oh my God, I don't have this for whatever reason. I'm coming out of the pocket. I'm running the football. Again, I get what you're saying, but you guys, and I say you guys because you know what I'm talking about, want to elevate him above the rest of the team. And that's not the case. He is part of the reason why they won, yes. But he's an interchangeable part, just like the rest of them. That's my whole thing is that, yes, we would be better off with him. Yeah, maybe. Would be worse off without him? Yeah, probably. But he's interchangeable, and you ride him for what he is. But if he stops doing those things that you just mentioned, running, and again, maybe not design RPOs, but just being creative, out there, Caleb Williams style, and all that. if
Design
he stops,
well, we saw success with that, with a little success
yes,
that they had offensively this
it
year.
opens things up, man. When they have to really be concerned with him as a running quarterback, it opens things up for the rest of the field. So again, I get the point. I understand, but I also don't think he's elite. He's not elite. There's only a handful of elite quarterbacks ever to play in this league, and he is not one of them. And again, we're fine with them. That's great. You want to stay with them, keep with them. That's great. But there are better options. There should be better options out there.
I disagree that there's that many better options. Like, I mean, is there better options? Sure. Patrick Mahomes became available. Josh Allen became available. Sure.
Oh, hang on. Who? Who's the second name you said?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Interesting. So Josh Allen win a Super Bowl with this football team?
Could he? Possibly. I don't know. He might not have that bone in his body. I don't know. So far, he's shown that he has not been able to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He hasn't been able to. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Let's see another. We got a message here from Steve. Hurts holding on to the ball too long is probably why McDaniel didn't want to come here. His offense is getting rid of the ball fast, and Hurts can't do that. Again, maybe this portion could be kind of correct. I'm not sitting there saying he's right or wrong in this sense. What has McDaniels done to warrant this love for McDaniels?
Good point.
He was like an OC for a very short time before he went to the Dolphins. He had Tua, he had Tyreek, he had a Waddle when he was good. He had a lot of good pieces.
He also had Mac Hollins. Don't forget Mac Hollins.
Hey, Mac Hollins had a resurgence with him.
Right.
But even had Vic Fangio when Vic Fangio, had to come here to get better.
That's right.
So why is his love? Why is the love for McDaniel so? And I part here, and I think I know my answer. And tell me if I'm crazy. There is 10 coaching spots, 10 HC spots available, and he became available because he failed miserably with the Dolphins. He had more chances probably than he should have had, and yet for some reason, when people thought he was going to get fired during the middle of the season, kind of like Dable was, and that's a whole other conversation, that people thought he would come here and change because that's how bad Kevin Patullo was doing in his job.
Yeah. Well,
even Brian Dable falls in that category. What has he done? Now, granted, any team kind of like Saleh, it's hard to judge these guys because of the organizations they were working with. Guys who don't really put money out there or do drafting very well or cultivate the players that they have very well. So it's very hard to judge them. But again, it's kind of like the reverse here. What did he have? He had success with Josh Allen. It's like, would he have success with Josh Allen? Is he reason Josh Allen is Josh Allen, or is Josh Allen that good that makes him look good? Like, is the quarterback coach for Patrick Mahomes that good, or does he just have a really easy job? Like, what have these guys done that we lost out on them and we're upset about this?
And didn't Jalen Hurts fail under Brian Dable in Alabama?
Well, when he was sat for Tua.
Yeah.
Dable was the OC. The question was that Dable's decision or what?
It was Sabian. It was Sabian's. It wasn't. It wasn't. But no, I hear you. But then I'm going to throw it back at you. Then why fire Kevin Patullo?
Because he
was sacrificed to the altar of the fans. Let's say it out. Say it for what it was.
Because because they knew their problem was Nick Sirianni can't do the play calling, and he was not ready for it. He wasn't ready for it. They kept him in the organization. It's up to him if he stays. It's not like they just outright fired him and said, here's the door, and said, leave. They like him, and maybe they think maybe in the future he could do it. I don't know, but you can't bring a guy in with no play calling experience.
How do you get play calling experience, though?
Not under Nick Sirianni.
There you go. That's a good point.
That's
a very good point.
If you want me to sit there and not be blind, I'm not blind that Nick Sirianni doesn't have flaws in his game, and that's the biggest flaw is expecting him to be what he's not. Steve wants to know, Manny B, does bringing in Cooter, and we all know why everybody wants to bring in Cooter, to the Eagles locker room going to change the vibes of next season? And as I always tell you, Cooter makes men weak in the knees, but we'll move on from that one.
Yeah, you can never have enough Cooter.
God, the headline.
That's why I don't want him here. That's why I don't want the guy here, because we'll never get past any of this stuff. It'll be sophomoric locker room humor from here on to the end of time. That's why I don't want him.
Yeah, it's gonna be real bad.
It's gonna be terrible. I've said this before, Steve. I honestly don't care who the offensive coordinator is, because if you don't get the buy-in from the quarterback, if you don't get the buy-in from the head coach, you could have Bill Walsh back in his offensive coordinating days calling plays, and none of it's going to matter. So whoever they can get that's going to be either the kind of stand his ground, but also be able to work with Jalen Hurts and try to figure out the best offense for him to run, and also, keep Sirianni back at a distance and leave him out of this. Whoever that person is, and I don't know, I don't know any of these people individually, so I can't tell you who that person is. But whoever that is my choice. It doesn't matter if they come with the name of Cooter or if they bring Cooter with them. Yeah. I don't care. I just need someone that's going to be able to get Jalen Hurts bought in, because obviously Jalen Hurts wasn't bought in to Kevin Abdullah. Nope, he wasn't. But I don't think Jalen Hurts was bought into Kellen Moore either. Honestly, they completely scrapped the offense and went to a running attack after the bye week in 2024. So I don't think he was bought into that either. Things looked better because of what happened with the run game. But those first 4 games of the season didn't look like he was bought in of the 2024 season. It did not look like he was bought in at all. Again, reality versus homerism. We're never going to bridge that gap. As far as the question, I don't know.
If your play calling, as we've called his play calling as vanilla or one-dimensional, is what it is, nobody succeeds. How many times do you watch, even now defenses, now they talk about like misdirection or motioning or all those kind of things. That has to be something that needs to be put into the game plan for anybody, not just Jalen Hurts, but anybody.
Oh, yeah, you got to mix it around.
If the play calling sucks, or it is, he called plays like people play Madden, right? Just standard fans who play Madden, because they look at the play. I need a first down. I'm going to call play for that. A real offensive coordinator has plays set up, and it's kind of maybe the old Mad Libs, or not Mad Libs. What was the story based books we used to read as kids? Like,
if you go that way, this is what happens. You go that way, this is what happens. Yeah, I used to love those stories.
Well, that's how an offensive coordinator thinks. If I'm going to call this play, if this happens, I'm ready with this play. If that happens, I'm ready with this play. Like, these guys don't do that. Like, I think that's one of the flaws in Nick Sirianni. He can't really do that at all. And he doesn't have a feel for the game, especially when it comes to crunch time. And we all thought somehow Kevin Patullo was going to, like, I kind of knew that game was over at that point when he had a fourth down call. What was it? 4th and 10 or close to it, or whatever it was at the time.
4th and 11.
13, or 4th and 11. Yeah. And, I knew that wasn't going to go well, because this guy does not have a feel for the game. Matt, I would have felt better with you with the play sheet out there than with Kevin Patullo. So in my eyes, he is not a sacrificial lamb as much as he just wasn't ready for the job.
How much do you put on the execution of said play of the players?
On all the players, yeah.
Do you think Tom Brady in his prime, with the offensive weapons the Eagles had in 2025, goes out there and runs any playbook successfully? Does it matter? Motion, no motion.
From Tom Brady?
From Tom Brady. Because we put Jalen Hurts at that level. Some people do.
I'm not.
Some people do.
No,
some people do.
You're just being ridiculous. I mean,
no. But my point is this: I know that the play calling was vanilla and the buy-in was not there, but elite quarterback play elevates all that, because they go out and they execute regardless. So yes, the play calling sucked, but how much do you put on the players for not executing the playbook for a $200 million offense that these players are being paid to not execute? Or did they submarine the season out of throwing a tantrum and say, we're not doing this, so we're going to lose and not perform? So again, where do you come out on that? Because there's a lot of shade being thrown to KP, rightfully so, but not enough shade going to the players.
Well, yeah, no, there's plenty of this is on the execution of the play, but also part of the problem is the play is vanilla and it's very defendable, and even against not a great defense, and that's where this became a big problem. I mean, the offensive line was a big problem because of the health issues with them and guys being rotated in and out, and Fred Johnson instead of Lane Johnsons, and Juergens and all that not being healthy the whole time, Lane Dickerson coming in out in the middle of games, that plays a major factor. But the other problem when they're not in there, it's not just because of the size of the beef of the guy, the ability to block a good player in front of them. It's the ability to read the defense, and also it changes the run game. We saw that. How many, the difference between getting hit before on the behind or on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage was a huge difference this year from last year. Well, that's a reason why Saquon wasn't as good as he was.
Right.
So
and maybe something to do with
Saquon has to be
too.
brought into it. So you're not firing the whole offensive line. You're not firing Jalen Hurts and firing them and keeping Kevin Patullo. So yes, was he an easy out? But he wasn't ready. He wasn't going to be ready under the tutelage of Nick Sirianni. It was a little bit of hubris bringing him in, if you ask in my opinion, my humble opinion. And with the Eagles bringing him in as, because he was here and he was effective, and maybe it was a little bit like Nick Sirianni smelling himself and how he smelled himself after a Super Bowl win and saying, you know what, guys inexperienced, but we got a Super Bowl caliber team. We don't have to worry about much. This team will kind of lead itself. How much does Kevin really have to do? Well, we found out a lot more than you think. Real quick, I'm going to hit a couple of these comments. He did enough. That was the Eagles' top choice. I'm guessing he's talking about McDaniel. We'll get to that. I think he's down here. He answers that. Al, I feel as you're right. I feel McDaniel did not do a good job, and so he got fired. He should have got fired a long time ago, McDaniel. Just pointing that out. Dable and McDaniel were the Eagles' top choices. They didn't want to come here. Why? Why wouldn't they want the offense to call plays? Jalen Hurts is the reason.
Good for you, Steve.
Well, I'm gonna. Maybe I'm not saying they're saying Steve's wrong, and maybe Jalen Hurts is the reason.
I'm giving Al center stage for this. I'll be right back.
Maybe McDaniel had enough of a Hurts-like player with Tua and just didn't want to deal with him. He wanted more of a pocket presence or anything like that you're going to get from Justin Herbert. But why would he pick Justin Herbert? What does Justin Herbert do besides suck and fail? Like, that's all he's done. He's put up some stats, but he sucked and failed. That is his. What did he do in the playoffs? Nothing. Dable and McDaniel, first part, I don't even know if they were their top choices. All we know is they've been told that they were top choices. Unless Steve, you or I or anybody else, we're in the war room and we're looking at their board of expectations of OC coordinators. I don't know if they were their top choices. Maybe they wanted guys with some HC backup because that's what they do. They back up because if Nick Sirianni fails again, I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Sirianni is out again or is out next year if this happens again or anything or worse. I don't know. But I can't sit there and tell you that Dable or McDaniel was their top choice, but I don't care if they were their top choice. Doesn't make it right or wrong. They are not they're going to 100% be the answer. And to kind of go with what Matt said earlier, he doesn't care. I care, but at least I know there's guys out there. Slowick was one guys who called plays, who understand plays. I don't want who was it? The young guy from Chicago. They wanted the OC from Chicago. I mean, Ben Johnson.
Doyle? Doyle? Is that Doyle guy?
Yeah, I forget exactly. I just had it up here. Declan Doyle. That was it. Declan Doyle. That's my point with all this. Like, I don't want somebody who has never done it before because they won't succeed here with Nick Sirianni as the head coach. You won't. He doesn't know how to do that part of the game well enough to take all right, listen, I'm going to help you out here. Let me help you. You don't want to call that right here. This isn't the time for that. Or we need a little bit more misdirection. We're down. This is the final play of the season, most likely, 4th and 11. We need more than just a streak play that runs 4 guys into the same freaking area. Like, he should have, that's where Nick Sirianni failed. And I'm going to say that. But
what about Jalen Hurts? Nick Foles had an interesting comment about that. Nick Foles, as a quarterback, always has that play in his back pocket that he likes to run in a situation. Where was that from Jalen Hurts? Where was that on the fly? Like, hey, guys, this doesn't work for me, but how about this? I didn't hear – you never hear the mic'd up Jalen Hurts going to the sideline going, hey, you want to do Philly? You never hear that from Jalen Hurts. So how much accountability are you putting on the freaking quarterback here?
I put accountability on all 3 of them in that case. All 3 of them. Nick, Patullo, Hurts. All of them. They all put accountability on it. But that's maybe not. We always hear the term that he's a coach's son. Like, he's just.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that has to do with anything. Honestly,
follow the coach blindly is a nice way of saying it. Like, he's going.
I'm afraid to say anything. Okay, you want me to do that? I'll do that. Okay, it didn't work. What do you want me to do now? No, you're right.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what it is. And I've coached young players like that, and again, they're younger and they're going to follow your suit a little bit more, so it falls on you. But at the same time, yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing. Like he should have been maybe audible out of it or something, or maybe or whatever needed to be happen. That was a bad play call, and he shouldn't have followed it blindly as well. But again, like you said, it's the execution, and I know the narrative pushing back on you because, well, if AJ Brown didn't drop the ball, if Devontae Smith didn't have more drops, and he had one game than he's had his whole career as a Philly, as an Eagle.
Now that was something. That there is something to those plays,
yeah,
right? But in the game against the fifth string San Francisco 49er defense, did that game really have to come down to that against the $200 million defending Super Bowl champion Eagle offense?
No, it shouldn't have. And there was probably at least a touchdown left on the board. That wasn't Jalen Hurts' fault at times, but there was one that was also left on the board that was Jalen Hurts' fault. And that's my point. This was a team disconnect. So if the offense is totally disconnect, who do you look at first? It's the OC. And then if it really fails, it's the head coach.
No, a head coach. He's responsible for everything.
Which one just won a Super Bowl? Which one just had his first time doing the job?
My God, man.
He
didn't win the Super Bowl. The Eagles did. Stop it. See what you did it again. You went back there again. He did not win the Super Bowl. The Eagles did. He wasn't out there creating 31 turnovers. He wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't one who rushed for 20 or accumulated over 2,500 all-purpose yards. He didn't do any of that. Come on, man. No, you're crazy. You're crazy about this Sirianni love. You're crazy.
It's not Sirianni love, but what I'm asking you is.
No, it is Sirianni love. It is.
If you're coaching a team, I don't care if it's youth football, college football, NFL, and your team just won the championship.
Yes.
Do you go up in the mic during the parade and sit there and go, I just want to point out that I had nothing to do with this?
Yeah, as a leader, I would. I say, listen, it's them. I just called the plays and they executed. No. That's what I would say. You're absolutely right. You're damn right. I would say that.
I'm saying that I have no clue what I'm doing. I didn't.
I wouldn't say that.
I didn't do anything to help these guys out at all. I didn't practice with them. They just practice by themselves. They do everything. They schemed the games by themselves. I actually took naps on the sidelines. Is that what Matty B is going to tell people? No.
No, I said I delegated to my soldiers, and they did what they had to do. And then you know what? It was because of my nurturing and my tutelage and mentorship that they were empowered to go ahead and go forth and win. That's what I did. Now, is that what Sirianni does? Maybe that's what he does. I don't know. But now, listen, we got to shut this down soon because I got to be able to clip this show. And if we go over 2 hours, I won't be able to do that.
All right. So 3 seconds to run through this. Soldier Steve. By the way, I'm going to have Soldier Steve on the show in the not too distant future on my Friday night show. So we will be able to battle this one a little bit more. I'm pretty sure Jeff Lurie knows what healthy buy looks like. KB gets the OC job again if he's actively interviewing for one. Being a passing game coordinator OC are two different things. That was Nick Sirianni. We do have a lot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit all these. So you know what? We're on to cut it short, guys. I'm glad you all stuck with me. I know it's a snowy day. You don't have a lot of choices. I want to thank Matty.
Well, hang on. Do we have a live engagement? We'll stay. I'll stay on.
Well, you're the one who said you got to get
let's stay on. I got to give the people what they want. Al, if you want to stay, I'll
flip it out. It's just you're going to have to do it old school.
I'll have to do it through the old-fashioned way, which is pain in the ass. But I'll do it. Let's do it. Let's give the people what they want.
Hey, you guys got a little OT from Matty B. That's what he told you. So, all right, I'm sorry, that's the one. The final TD followed by a piss poor pass Josh Allen threw at the end of that Eagles game summed up that guy in a whole drive. Yeah, he doesn't have that win. I'm sorry, he doesn't, and his record shows that. There's no reason Allen should be missing those passes. Agreed. It's not just the fan base wanting these guys. Eagles wanted to hire them. Again, I don't know that.
We don't know that. Right. That's a good point. We don't know.
You could be right. You could be wrong. I don't know that. I'm pretty sure Jeff Lurie knows what healthy buy-in looks like as an objective observer. I would hope by now. After the ebbs and flows of success that the Eagles have had over the last decade.
Is AJ Brown bought in?
No.
When did that buy-in stop? This year, last year, year before that, when?
I think it probably stopped after the Super Bowl. I mean, he's a diva, right?
So you think he was bought in last year?
I think, yeah, they're successful. I mean, listen, let's be honest.
Okay, again, you just said he's a diva. Was it their success or his success that he's bought in for?
Well, I think it was a little bit this. They were winning no matter what. Like, let's be honest. 2024 was so successful for this team. Like, this team pretty much. There was really not many call them hiccups in the season where you just felt like, oh, this team might not be as good as we thought they were.
Yeah, there was the first 4 weeks of the season. We're 2-2.
I'm sorry. After the bye week, I meant.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
After that bye week, this team just whatever switch flipped, and remember they were 2-2. They weren't like 0-4 at that point either. But my point is, the switch flipped, and even into the playoffs,
I can't, man. You need help, dude. You need to go to you need help, man.
I drink right about now. I'm gonna tell Mike next time he's not allowed to take the day off. Highways be damned in Delco at this point. Being a passing coordinator, oh yeah, we did talk about that. I think every QB runs the offense their best fits to their own skill sets. Yeah, I mean that's what you have to do. It has to format.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
AJ and Devontae came out and said it was execution multiple times.
Thank you, Nooms.
Yes, and that was on them, and I agree with them. So it's the execution of all of them, not just Jalen, not just Avante, it was all of them. This offense was disjointed, and maybe to Kevin Patullo, unfortunately, give him a little, maybe not credit, but like maybe just between, a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, not having a coach who can help him with the X's and O's a little better and have a feel of the game, and then this team being a little disjointed and injured just spelled disaster for Kevin Patullo. And if he did pull any rabbit out of his hat this season, would have been just feather in his cap in that sense.
But listen, I go back to the end, and I understand you're not firing 53 guys, you're not firing the entire coaching staff. Somebody does have to be sacrificed. Somebody does have to be sacrificed. That's just the name of the game. And yeah, okay, Kevin Patullo was that guy. But now some of the stuff coming out is that offensive coordinators that are interviewed here, and this is a report. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know
the validity
where it's
of
being pulled from, but the Jeff Stoutland situation now with he's good, and Stoutland U and all that, which is, I mean, Stoutland U might have lost some funding this year, and they had a cut. Maybe the government shutdown affected them somehow. But you look at a lot of these guys want to bring their own people in, and allegedly some of the stopping point of these negotiations has been the removal of Jeff Stoutland as the run game / offensive line coach, and that might be something that's chasing people away.
I heard that. All right, let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's pretend it's true, right? Let's pretend it's true. So, are you telling me the run game coordinator, right? But Deuce Staley was that at one point here. Am I correct?
Was that the running backs coach, the run game coordinator, or is there two different jobs?
I thought he was both, because he was also the second HC or vice HC
assistant head coach, I think, right?
I think of the show The Office, assistant to the regional manager,
the undersecretary of the assistant. Yeah,
it's such a talk about what John was talking about earlier about these crazy coaching positions. I find it asinine that to be true. That they like, all right, you're calling the run plays and we're going to call the other plays. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, isn't the coordinator the package guy? Hey, this is what, if you're going to call X/3, that this is who I'm sending out for X/3.
Yeah, like that's kind of
the coordinator, right?
That's exactly how I look at it. I don't think he's calling just the run plays and the other guys are calling the offense play. If you don't want, arguably, if not the best offensive line coach in the last decade, if not longer, in the NFL, not just the Eagles, in the NFL, you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts if you don't want him. And that is an ego trip, if that is to be true, that's what you want. And again, I think that is major media trying to turn something into nothing. That one person may have whispered that, or maybe said that, or said it in passing. And because they can sit there and say, well, I had a source tell me, who could be the dude who's mopping the floors at the night at the end of the meetings, God only knows. And I think they said something about Jeff Stoutland, not sure. Maybe they don't like him. Oh, okay. And they run with it. That is, to me, the biggest, like, it has gotten bad, Matt. It really has gotten bad. And that's kind of why I like working with you and these guys. Like, listen, be it that me and you don't get along a lot in our conversations, because I always tell people how, two guys like us could be very good friends, but it doesn't always seem like that the way we argue, but we do argue because we respect each other in that sense. But how major media, and I'm talking outside WIP and the Fanatic and NBC Sports, and I'm talking countrywide, nationwide media, ESPNs and all that stuff. They have gotten so clickbaity. They have gotten, and they know if you mention Philadelphia in something, or Dallas, some other Dallas or a New York team, it is simple. But Eagles are the easiest one. Look at Scam Newton. Scam Newton is the biggest one of them all. He knows exactly. Emmanuel Acho, biggest jokes when it comes to me when it talks about this. It's just like when I'm watching a playoff game and there's Tony Romo talking about what you need to be a playoff caliber quarterback and what a playoff caliber quarterback needs to do in the playoffs and what plays he would have called. You sucked, bro. You didn't know what you were doing. You got to a playoff. You were like a deer in headlights, and you're sitting there telling me what to do and what this because you played in the NFL. No, same thing with Scam Newton. He had one opportunity, and they got met by a defense of the Broncos, and ever since then, he was nothing. He got exposed majorly, and all he can do is take guys who had success and try to knock them down to get clicks and wear stupid hats like that. That's Scam Newton in a nutshell right there. Let me just throw that out there. Slowick would actually make X's and O's sense. I agree with you. I would say Slowick is probably right now my top if I'm making a decision. Slowick would be a good one for me to choose from. I'm not off the Jim Bob Cooter, not just because of the name train. He has been success. He's worked with Matt Stafford. He's been well known for having a lot of misdirection in his game. A lot of the good stuff that they said about him sounds like Kellen Moore a lot. What we heard going into the last season about his abilities. Because let's be honest, were you super excited about Kellen Moore? Like, did Kellen Moore really thrill you outside knowing that he had some decent play calling misdirection and they had some success in Dallas from the offensive standpoint at times? Probably got the best out of Dak Prescott in my eyes. But then he also went and played with Justin Herbert, and they couldn't get any success out of him. Yet the great McDaniels, he wants to go work with him. Do you know why he wants to go work with him? And it's not about wearing shorts. Because you know what it tells me?
I think it is.
Do you know what it tells me about McDaniel? That he doesn't want a place that's going to hold him accountable. Because if there's anything Philly does,
I disagree.
And maybe to an extreme degree at times, don't get me wrong, is hold an accountable person. And
I think he respects Harbaugh more than he respects Sirianni.
Oh, that could be a major point too. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
But you can expect Harbaugh all you want, but Harbaugh hasn't gotten much out of Justin Herbert. Nobody has. Justin Herbert was one of those people who were anointed something before he took a snap in the NFL, and he has had individual success.
Yeah, but also Herbert has not had – Herbert's offensive line was terrible this year. I'm surprised he made it through the season in one piece. He got rolled the hell up.
I wouldn't say as terrible, but the Eagles had a really good offensive line.
No, the Eagles' offensive line was a sight better than the Chargers. Come on. And as far as Scam Newton goes, I agree with what you're saying. But Scam Newton's also got something Hurts doesn't have, and that's MVP. And not Super Bowl MVP, but NFL MVP.
And he was also the one who said, I quote, I would rather have a season MVP than a Super Bowl MVP or championship. He said that. So take that with that. I don't think Hurts ever wins it. Ever.
As far as Kellen Moore goes, we're in a very similar situation. We were coming out of a season where we took a shot on an unknown, Brian Johnson, didn't work out. Now we're going back to the known commodity, which is Kellen Moore in 24. It's the same type of thing. We're going from an unknown to me, it has to be. I think it has to be a known commodity because, well, we've already kind of seen the other side. But again, it doesn't matter. It's whether or not Sirianni's going to let this guy do what he's got to do, and Hurts buys in. That's really the bottom line. And it could be Cooter, it could be Slovic. Where these freaking names coming from? Cooter, Slovic. It could be any of these guys, man. I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me as long as they get the buy-in from the quarterback and the head coach. So
and have a game plan and have a feel for the game. That's all I really want.
Yeah.
Steve said they interviewed them. Doesn't that mean they want to hire someone? They aren't of color, so the Rooney Rule doesn't apply here. Why interview them if you don't want to hire them?
Isn't McDaniel? Isn't McDaniel considered a minority?
I don't think so.
No, he's not.
No. Wait a minute, no. But
does the Rooney Rule apply to assistants or just head coaches?
I think it applies to OCs, HCs, DCs.
Any coaching position.
I think that hiring, I probably in there for most likely at this point.
Whatever.
All right, so nothing to do with the Rooney Rule at all, Steve. In this situation,
Yeah,
it would be dumb of them not to at least interview them, see what they have. Like maybe there is something that we don't know that they showed them. They open up their playbook. This is something I would do with Jalen. So let me ask you this question: if McDaniel didn't want to come to Philly, then why did he agree to the interview?
Did he though? Did he agree? We haven't. I mean, is it confirmed he interviewed? It was in person.
I don't know.
Same with Dable. I don't know if he actually did interview, other than maybe a phone call.
I think Dable did recently, if I remember correctly. My point is,
they're not sharing that process with us.
Here's my problem: is they were doing their due diligence. This is what you do in this situation. Even if you have listen in a war room, like even a general might say something in the middle of a war or a conflict and say, "Hey, here's something we're not thinking about. Is there any relevance to this?" So you have to do your due diligence and go through them, even if you don't think they're going to be a fit. Unless you're like, no, we're not hiring this guy. We don't like him, or he was whatever reason it is. I don't think they dislike Dable or dislike Daniels, and they probably also, like we said, like, oh well, Dable was with the Giants. He did work with Josh Allen. Let's see what he has to say. Like, I think you still have to do your due diligence at the very least. So just because you interviewed them doesn't 100% mean you want them. I do, like if I'm hiring somebody, I interview 20 people. I do like a group interview where I give a whole singular interview to everybody, and then I break them off individually, because by just doing that, interviewing those 20 people in my brain before I'm doing the individual interviews, I chop them down 10 people in half right there. So they're doing their due diligence in my eyes.
So, so this is the Homer stuff. This is the Kool-Aid. This is the Kool-Aid speaking.
No,
yes, it is. Yes, the Kool-Aid speaking. It's the Kool-Aid speaking.
Because you don't like the good answer.
No, come on.
Doesn't make it Kool-Aid, Matty B.
Let's look at this.
It was a reasonable, well thought out answer that makes.
Now let's look at this through the eyes of reality. All right. If they listen, Dable, McDaniel, we can't sit here and say that who they wanted, but the odds are that they wanted one of them and they were told no. So let's not go, well, they're doing their due. Now, come on. We know how this business works. You got to strike while the iron is hot. This due diligence stuff is a cover up from Homer's trying to mask that there's some hiring issues, whether that's coming from the outside or the inside of the Eagles. There are Don't tell me they already haven't decided on somebody, but we're told no. That's bullcrap. That's happened. I would guarantee you that's happened. So let's not mask this by, well, they're doing their due diligence. Come on, man. No. When was
the last time there was 10 HC job openings and you had hired OC? So that means there's 10 HC jobs opening, not including the Lions and not including the Eagles and anybody else looking just for an OC or a DC. By the way, while we were doing the interview with, I think, Jack, former Eagles DC is now a Green Bay DC, Mr. Gannon.
Really? John Gannon's back?
He's in Green Bay as the DC.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question. What was said about when they hired Kevin Patullo last year, like after the Super Bowl? What was said about him when they hired him? Everybody's like, what was the feeling? Like, what did they do? You tell me.
It was the same thing that we said about Brian Johnson. Oh, he's coming from inside the organization. He's got a relationship with Jalen Hurts. He's going to see things from a different perspective. That was what the initial.
They didn't interview anybody. They didn't do enough. They didn't research. That's what was said. Now they're doing it, and we're mad about it because we didn't make a decision on January 25th for an OC. That's the part that drives me nuts.
Okay. You're looking at this from a Homer aspect. They wanted Kevin Patullo. Nick Sirianni, I don't know if he promised it to him during a.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, but the decision was made to go internal last year, which for some odd reason was accepted by Eagle fans, even though it hadn't worked literally the year before. But yeah, we're okay. You know what? Let's give it another chance. So now they're going back to external. And is there a process of hiring here? Yeah, of course. Is there some diligence going on? Absolutely. I'm not taking that away from them. But to sit here and say that they have not made their decision yet, and that they're waiting to like, push up the white smoke through the chimney of the NovaCare complex to announce their new OC is completely false. All right, they have made a decision, and they were told no by one or two or maybe even three people. Come on, man.
I'm not sitting there saying they were told no by anybody or 20 people. I don't know that. You don't know that. And also, they may have made their decision because even McDaniel and Dable haven't laid the rule down yet because McDaniel said, I'm going to go work with Justin Herbert, but if I can get that Bills job, F you, LA, I'm out. So this is the problem with this unprecedented moment to even make these decisions as easily as we think they are. There is so many openings. You have to wait, and there's a little bit of a wait and see in some things, and unfortunately true. Adam, you probably I wouldn't want to see what that looked like. Could you imagine if Pat was here? This would be out of control. I think me and Matt would have a heart attack if Pat was here with some of the stuff that would come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Even Andy Reid fell victim to bringing my guys in when Howard Mudd had us by the nuts and demanded Jim Washburn, who blew up that locker room. Washburn would constantly fight with Morningwig and Juan Castillo. Don't bring up Juan Castillo. Yes, Scam Newton. That's what he is. He infuriates me beyond all belief because people how he has a following just because he was an NFL quarterback one time. I feel I and Matty B have more feel for the game than he does. He is the most self-centered individual who made it up. The minute he said that should have been when everybody goes, ooh, really? You would rather keep your regular MVP than be a Super Bowl champion? You're a moron. Problems is when you ask Hurts to make a high volume of tight window throws, which is true for so many QBs. Okay, yeah, that's not his forte. Dolphins proponents slow to OC yesterday around 5 p.m. Oh, did they?
Yeah.
They did not. Okay, all right.
It's no Slovic.
He's back. I hope this doesn't mean Gannon is back. No. Yes, for those who didn't know, the Sixers did like a 10-day whateber weird contracts they do. 6 NBA contracts boggle me more than NFL contracts. That Charles Bassey is back with the Sixers when everybody from 3 or 4 years ago is excited suddenly. Maybe they want someone that's still playing, dude. Yeah, I
mentioned that at the top of the show.
Yeah, no, Matt did say that. No, and that's my thing is, think about what they did. They won the Super Bowl last year. So by the time, and there was a whole hell of a lot less coaching opportunities there by the time they got to the Kevin Patullo decision. But they jumped right on the Kevin Patullo decision. So that probably sticks in their craw a little bit, saying, we need to sit here and see what transpires. Maybe here's one of those times. Maybe both things are true. Maybe they did have one guy they really liked. Let's say McDaniels is the guy, just to make everybody, or McDaniel. Apparently, it's not an S in his name. And he said, no, I don't want to come here. I don't want to, and whatever reason it is, maybe it's Jalen, maybe it's Nick, maybe it's all the above. It's just not a fit for him. Doesn't mean that's the end of the world. Because why is Josh McDaniel the guy? Like, why is he if we get Josh McDaniel, we will be good. If we get Josh McDaniel, he is God. Like, no, he has sucked. Be gone with him. I don't understand the love for him. I think they interview him, or at least request an interview from him, because, again, they're doing their due diligence. And then here we go. Joe Hell, hey, everyone. Joe, what's going on? We stayed late for you, Joe. We've been waiting right here.
Yeah, where you been, man? I got a life to live. Jeez, Joe.
2 hours and 17. Yeah, about 2 hours and 17 minutes in. Joe Hell, we can now end the show because you had showed up. It's like coming to the party and we go, party's over, bro. We'll take this last comment because I know Matty, he's going to be all day cutting this show up. So much harder to stay good now between the rules and numbers of teams trying to vulture your staff. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. I mean we might be losing Clint Hurt, which is going to be big. We already lost Ryan Parker, which is a big. I mean, listen, that guy. You don't have two guys now. Listen, Quinyon and Cooper, two amazing athletes and players. Yep. But don't tell me Ryan Parker didn't have anything to do with it. Maybe having guys to mold like that makes things a lot easier, but he's going to be a loss. And he goes to the Dallas Cowboys, who now you have a guy who's worked under Vic Fangio. So now you have a guy who sees you twice a year, has a little insight in how you guys operate.
But he's never called plays before.
Defensively, no, I'm saying he could suck. I don't know that. I'm not saying that. He's a loss in his position. But this is the way that when you have success, what happens? You're the first to get poached.
Yeah, no, there is to that, and yes, I get it, but
brother. We're all snowed in. If you're not in Florida, you're snowed in.
Joe, what you think it's just snowing in South Jersey? I mean, geez, all over the Northeast corridor, man.
Wait, breaking news, it's snowing in South Jersey.
Just one cloud over South. Now I got the one cloud over South Jersey stuff, yes, but no, this thing is stretching. What, like 40 states? I heard are affected by this, something like that, or have been affected by this.
This is a big ass storm.
Yeah. But listen, let's talk about the poaching thing. Yes, that comes with success. It does. It definitely comes with success. And, the Eagles have felt that. But, John Gannon doesn't get poached. Do we win Super Bowl 59? Probably not. Right? So if John Gannon doesn't get poached, do we win Super Bowl 59? Or 58? Yeah, 59.
Fangio.
We wouldn't get Vic Fangio. That's my point.
Yeah, no. I mean, everything has. Listen.
Yeah. So it goes back and forth. It's good and bad.
It's the Carson Wentz effect. I said.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him. You can't take away from the fact that he was part of the reason they won their first Super Bowl. He might have not.
You're right.
He might have not crossed the finish line, but he won 3/4 of the.
He was the MVP that year, in my opinion, in 2017. He really was the MVP.
He should have been the MVP. But the problem with Carson Wentz is he was mentally weak. He couldn't handle the fact that somebody carried the torch across the finish line for him, and that showed. But if it wasn't for that, and it wasn't even for Howie Roseman signing this contract and somehow turning him into a first-round pick, even Chip Kelly's situation. If it wasn't for Chip Kelly, everybody said, did Howie Roseman get better as a GM and drafter and all that stuff because he had to hit rock bottom. Everybody's story. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to learn from. It's like canon event they call it in movies. The canon event that made that guy's story turn to the way it went. So, yes, without one, you can't have the other all the time. It doesn't always work out that way. But, everything has to happen. But that's why I'm saying, I wait to see what happens next year. If they can course correct again for the third year in a row or the third time in a row, then that's what they do. And then you have to give credit where credit's due. But we won't know for another year.
If we have the same season, 11-6 first round playoff exit, what changes would you advocate for?
Same exact carbon copy.
Like almost a exact trajectory of this year. Almost, yeah. Obviously, it's not going to be completely the same, but the end result was the same.
If the OC is failing,
well, no, just 11-6, a vanilla to slightly above vanilla offense, 11-6, and a first round playoff exit. What changes are you advocating?
Oh, Nick Sirianni. I'm changing. I'm going to say that. I mean, whatever magic he had is gone at that point. If his magic, listen, winning a Super Bowl last year buys you at least one more year in my eyes.
Buy you 3.
It should buy you 3. So that's why I'm saying he's not. That's why he wasn't going to get fired. My point is, if it is a carbon copy, then that's where the head has to come off the dragon. You know what I mean? And he's the head of that dragon right there. And that's what happens. Huh?
What about Hurts?
Listen, you got to choose between your quarterback and your coach. Nick Sirianni is never going to be any more than where he is now in my eyes. From a coaching standpoint, I think Jalen Hurts can still grow as a quarterback. So I go keep him, and Sirianni's gone. So
you keep Hurts, fire Sirianni. Do you draft Hurts' replacement in the 2027 NFL draft?
I wouldn't put it past Howie. Wouldn't put it past him. That's how he got here.
Yep.
But the difference between him and Carson Wentz is that would either enrage or not enrage, but it would make him work even harder. So
we don't know, but we don't know how that's going to affect Jalen Hurts. He's never been through that. Not here.
Well, he's been sat in college in the
he has been sat, but he's never been sat. Well, yeah, I hear what you're saying. But how did that Tua thing work out? He quit and he ran to Oklahoma. So I'm just saying.
He had an opportunity to go somewhere else and he took it. I don't blame him.
Oh, okay, right. But he doesn't. So that's my point. We don't know how he's going to react to that at the NFL level.
You would have preferred him to sit there and go, I'll just wait it out.
No, I would prefer him because we keep saying he's this above average human being with a great work ethic and character and leadership ability, which I've never seen. I would sit there and take the demotion and be like, okay, do I have a guaranteed fair shot of winning my job back? And if they said, yeah, then I would go and bust my ass to win that job back. Yes, that's what I would do.
Maybe they said
if they said no, then yeah, I'm going to get out of there. But and we don't know if that conversation was had. And again, I'm putting some cart before the horse stuff here.
No, that's
but
fine. Listen, that's what makes what we do fun, because a lot of it's speculation, and a lot of the stuff that we talk about may never ever come out. I mean,
one day, 30 for 30.
Yeah, maybe Jalen Hurts is 60 years old. He's way out of the league, and he finally writes his memoirs. Or and then even then, you have to understand it's coming from one point of view to know for exactly how it went through. Maybe he in his head said they said no, and they said no. We said maybe. He's like, well, that's a no in my eyes. We don't know. But we do know because of Joe Hale's amazing weather.
It's snowing in Jersey, everybody.
Already a foot of snow in New Jersey. There's a lot of snow around here, and it's like, guys, number one is stay safe.
Yes,
all I'm gonna say is stay safe. Be safe. Especially anybody. I'm 43 years old. Matt's about almost 10 years older than me. If you can, get the kids to do it, hire the kids to do it, and do this in shifts. Like don't wait till there's 10 feet of snow out there.
No, damage control every couple hours.
Yeah, actually, that's probably what I'm about to do, is slide on some boots right now and do that first round of snow blowing. I've wised up at my old age, and I got off my wall and I said, I'm buying a snow blower. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to I'm excited to use it now because it's one of those things you bought and you hope you never use. I'm glad I spent $500 on that thing, so I never use it. But other than that, I want to again thank Maddie B for joining me this week. This made this real fun. I mean, 2.5 hours.
Took some time of your snow day. Hopefully we entertained you for a little bit of it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Hopefully Mike's doing okay because he's out in the midst of all this. I'm sure he's warm, drinking his hot cocoa, plowing snow somewhere on the highways. But thanks to Jack Fritz for joining us. That was fun. Yes. A little impromptu from Maddie doing his great work. Thanks to John Phillips from the Pittsburgh Sports Desk. As we heard earlier today, they will be getting a lot more. So when they start talking Penguins, just
actually, to be honest with you, you just we gotta do some cross stuff. We gotta keep them honest over there. We gotta jump over there and bring them back to reality a little bit.
No, absolutely. And it's just funny how bringing them on the stark comparison of how Pittsburgh handles their coaching and their hirings and the ways they spend money is really a stark comparison between Philly. So
what, are you using me as sort of a baseline for the Philadelphia sports fan? Like, am I the typical irrational? Am I the cartoon character?
No. What I'm saying is how the organizations are two different types of organizations on how they handle things. How Steelers versus the Eagles organizations are two different. Like how they handle things are way different.
Yeah, but is that antiquated at this point, the way Steelers do it? Is that out of date? You know what I mean?
That's kind of what I was leaning towards. Like they talked about, Rooney's son now running it, but he's running it like a dad did, and it's
not 1978.
I mean, look at baseball, like just how they handle contracts anymore. $40 million a year for 2 years without clauses versus 7 years, $100 million or $200 million or whatever it is. It's changed ultimately, but. I want to thank Maddie B. Everybody, guys, it's been a blast. Go out there, get your snow shoveled. Be safe, though. I know here's another fun fact. For the next 10 days, it ain't gonna be above 31 degrees.
So snow's not going anywhere.
Yeah, so wherever you're moving is going to be there until March. So other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging out for this little extended Philly AM Sports. We almost became Philly AM into the PM Sports if we went any longer. But guys, thank you once again, and we will see you next time.